Hello, YouTube. We are back for another episode of another Reviews Corp podcast, Andor Season 2, and an entire retrospective of the show. We'll probably talk about Rogue One as well. On this episode 74. And we're back here again with our good guest, Rangi. What's up, man?
Doing all right. Been dealing with some weird personal shit, but nothing too big of a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life's
And
fun.
we're back here again with our good co-host, Unity Review and Analysis. What's up, Unity?
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry, I've been staying up for 4 a.m. shift back to back, so
Oh, that's
gonna
always
review.
fun. That's
No.
always fun.
Hey, do you know the best part is? I don't get paid. It's voluntary.
Of course not.
Fuck yeah.
Hey, you're getting paid in gratitude.
Hey, I got
Paid in exposure.
Hey, I got paid in putting it in my resume or CV in UK.
That reminds me of that South Park the joke about student athletes.
Yeah.
Well, they equivocated to slavery.
That's good. We got slavery in the first 2 minutes of the podcast.
Hopefully the bot will know I'm talking about a South Park episode.
So yeah, so Andor finished. We're probably gonna just talk about the season in general and the show as a whole. Not too much of a structured. I like this to be a little bit more loose. So how did you guys feel about the show as a whole?
I'll let Unity go first.
It's easily the best Star Wars show ever made. So that's already a really big hype. That's already really good. Of course, you have to factor the fact that I don't think any of the Star Wars show is good. Like not even like Disney. Okay. At the very least, the Disney shows. I haven't finished the animated shows yet. So I cannot say that for certain.
I've lost interest. I know there's like another animated show that already came out. Tales of
I think it's Tales of the Underworld. Yeah, I saw that on Disney Plus because I had to get Disney Plus to watch Andor, which, by the way, it was actually worth it.
I just know that it has a Cad Bane's son.
Cad Bane's
son.
Oh
my god! Of course.
Jesus. I was like, I know, because I saw that in the trailer. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna watch it. At the very least, I have to finish the Clone Wars first, which is
Filoni playing with his action figures again.
Pretty much. Hey, I can't wait to watch like 5 episodes of the Clone Wars, and I've only seen like 5 episodes of the Clone Wars so far in my rewatch.
It's just kind of funny.
You showed me the Clone Wars movie, and I wanted to die.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that we've seen like so much of Ahsoka's life, even down to her childhood, yet we still don't get a good explanation of where she was during the events of the original trilogy.
No, not even Rebels. Not even Rebels try to explain that shit.
Multiverse.
She was really busy. She had a lot going on. She was stuck in the world between worlds. Then she ended up in our world, and then she got in a bit of tax issues. So the IRS was auditing her.
Makes sense.
Big. That would actually make about as much sense as any other Filoni-verse nonsense.
I don't blame him. Jesus Christ.
Could you imagine Filoni running Andor?
That didn't come through, did it?
No,
yeah, so Andor, this is the last ride of Star Wars. That's what I told Unity when we were watching it. We are probably not going to get any more good Star Wars after this. And if we do, it's going to be few and far between.
I was like, maybe after 10 years we get a good one. maybe.
Maybe if we get lucky.
Hey, I mean, look on the bright side.
if
They managed to actually get one good thing out of entire Star Wars.
if you smile and watch your Filoni slop, maybe after 10 years you'll get another Andor.
Yay!
Yeah.
Maybe.
Or they need to go very safe and just try to emulate something like decent, like with Skeleton Crew going with the Goonies method. Like, I mean, it's playing it safe, but like, I mean, it's better than what we've had. So
I mean,
maybe.
That's not a really high bar, though. I don't know. My view is, I feel like if the goal is just better than what we had, though, when what we had is so low, it's like, okay, so we're shooting for the meteoric heights of mediocre, and then Andor comes by and it's actually great, and like you have all of these like EU people and all these like Filoni fans who are like, oh my god, it's not the Star Wars I want, because it's not like the Clone Wars. Yeah, it's not like the asinine kids show that put barely any effort in to actual storytelling.
Kid shows. But yeah, I mean, Skeleton Crew, it's fine, but it's like there's just nothing that stands out enough for us to talk about, for anyone to just remember. Like not something like really good or really bad. So that's a problem.
Yeah, I haven't watched it, so I've heard people say it was good. I've heard people say it was bad. It's a case of I'm not a big Star Wars fan generally. So for me, like, I have to hear people I trust to tell me like, no, this is actually a good show, and then I'll watch it.
Yeah.
And but especially because I have so much other stuff I have to watch already. Like I've got a massive list of like shows I've still got to watch. I've got stuff I've got to cover. It's hard to justify. And Andor justified the time for me. Like I was looking, I was here when we reviewed the first arc, and I was a bit like kind of worried. You know, I thought, especially with that Rebels plot line that was still worthless and absolutely went nowhere.
Yeah, that was solidified that already.
Honestly, so this is kind of my one thing about this season in particular. The time gaps do
It
kind of
does hurt it.
It does kind of like get really weird in terms of like how much things skip over to the next year, the next year, the next year, like that. Because like ultimately, the grape scene did not really matter. Honestly, Bix was more in PTSD with the torturing from Ghost in season 1 than anything that had to do with it in season 2, the first arc. So it's like, honestly, like I don't really see the point of it.
Yeah, I feel like they should have done a bit more with Bix in general. There, like, there's some good Bix stuff in the show, but and I actually think that the way they end her story works. It's a case of, I feel like a lot of the problem is with Bix is you needed a lot more time in order to really get that character where you really want them to be, because wasn't this supposed to be like a 5-season show, and it kind of shows it. And
Tony
it's
Gilroy
really,
and Diego Luna, they just were like, I don't want to do this for another 5 years.
To be fair, they're gonna just shorten it to like
And
3 years.
Yeah, and like, you know, because Diego's like already like 50, some of that. So
wait, what? He's 50?
He's pretty old.
Jesus
yeah,
Christ,
he looks in his mid-30s, so he's looking pretty good for a 50-year-old.
What the fuck? How old is this guy? Diego Luna
45.
45.
But if he was to do another 5 years of filming, it'd be in his 50s. Especially for how long Disney takes to make TV shows, especially. I mean, to be fair, you need the quality of writing for all that. But I do think maybe 3 years would have been better.
Yeah, 3 seasons I think would have been good. I think the problem is they'll always be kind of hindered by the fact that they have to fit in with Rogue One. So yeah, they can't really do a 5. They could probably do a 5 season show if Rogue One didn't exist.
Yeah, that was
Because then, but you have to believe that Andor is the same guy after the fact in Rogue One. I think that kind of hinders it a bit.
no. I think the thing is like they are the same guy. It's just like Rogue One is sooner developed. That was like anything goes.
Yeah, well, yeah, and they do a lot with Andor. Like, if you told me it, like, actually,
No, fuck that.
I think my thoughts were when I first heard that Andor would get his own show. It was like, oh, really? They're giving like the random kind of spy guy from Rogue One. It's like that could be interesting, but man, like this is just like the one of the least important side characters. And then I watched Andor, and it was like, oh, I was actually good. And I'll watch season 2, and I'm like, man, imagine what they look. We just need to. They should just put Tony Gilroy in charge of Star Wars at this point. Well, I think the other problem is though, I don't think Andor is going to be a commercial success, unfortunately, because it's so expensive. And
it's also like it's a niche in Star Wars too, like focus on the political thriller aspect of it, which is one aspect of Star Wars. But obviously the sci-fi elements, like if Tony Gilroy was to go delve into lightsaber stuff, I don't think he's even interested in doing that, which is completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
I think he could do something with a character who is sort of Jedi. Now that said, I'm sick of fucking Jedi who didn't die in Order 66.
No, I mean, it's hard to say because there's like it's not a Force user, but it's like there's like the guy who's like Sure Inway who can like has aspect of the Force, but he cannot use the Force. He can only like sense some stuff with it. But he appears for like one scene in season 2, if you guys remember. It's like
you mean the healer person? I thought that was a check.
Yeah, the healer.
She senses that like Andor will be really important for the rebellion.
Yeah, has to be the Force. There's no way around it. Like, oh yeah, you can actually just touch you and you guys just know you.
Yeah. Also, I hope it isn't coming through, but my dog is snoring under my desk. So if you hear a weird sound, that's what it is.
Oh yeah. Also, by the way, if you guys know, the show managed to develop a random soldier in Rogue One called Maoshi.
Yeah, it gives a little bit of time for him. I don't know if I'd say full on development, but it gives a little bit of time. The show is really good. It's just it is hampered by the shortage of time. What we get is really good, and they did a lot with it with what they had. Like the Gorman stuff, really, really good. It's up there with the prison arc for me.
Yeah, up there. It's insane that Gorman, like, if you had to like arc 3 in season 2, it's like that is like the best 3 episodes of season 2.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely, without a doubt. Like, and arc 2 it's a lot of setup for those episodes that does actually go places and does actually achieve things. So those 2 arcs together probably are, you get like a really good like 6 episode streak there. I was like, they'd have to try to fuck it up with arc 4. I think that's what I said specifically after we finished watching it, Unity.
Yeah, it's like dude. That's what I said because I was so concerned because like, oh, the guy, what did the guy make? It's like, oh, he made shows, but it's like his primary objective is not shows. It's like books and video games. I was like,
video games. Yeah, he's a video game writer.
I was like, oh, he's the guy who made not Tomb Raider. It was like Uncharted 4 and Batman Arkham Origins.
I enjoyed
And
this
I
one.
think a lot of the biggest problems with Arc 4, well, especially episode 10, which was I really liked episode 10, but a lot of its problems are like logistics in nature. It's like, oh, where's the cameras? Why didn't anyone hear this shot or that shot?
Yeah, that's like that's what I say. This like feels like a video game, because I was literally just trying to finish Resident Evil 4 remake. Because sometimes when you
Yeah.
fucking shoot an enemy, the enemies do not hear it. Even though it's like, or you destroy a crate and some of the enemies do not hear it. Or if you just go to a room, the enemies do not chase you. Or like you can tell the video game writing aspect there.
Yeah, that was a bit. I don't think they did that great with that particular aspect, but then like the actual like emotional beats and the character
Yeah.
stuff within Arc 4 is really good. I said I think there's a little bit of wasted time with Yavin after that in the last two. But then again, I guess what do you allocate that rest of the time to? I guess maybe you could push back the. I would have liked more development for Clea before she actually has to go and kill Luthen.
Yeah, I mean that they do put the flashback in like throughout the episode of like the two interacting, like their origin and how they became the father-daughter like relationship, which is something that like I know Gilroy was talking about, like how because like the actress was playing Claire, this is her first time acting.
No, okay. First time acting on screen in general.
On screen, yeah, like just
She was a theater actor.
A theater actor originally.
It's UK. Before you have to go on screen, you have to be a theater actor.
Honestly, we should probably adapt that role here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was people do not know this because like we are UK is very theater nerd, so basically a lot of people that's why a lot of people are LGBT. So yeah.
I did not expect the sentence to go that way.
Yeah, that's.
But sure, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, basically. So
I see how it is, Unity.
No, I'm a theater.
How dare you insinuate gay people are into theater? I'm not straight and I hate theater.
How dare you? I'm straight and I love theater. And I talk to LGBT people all the time. You fuck. I literally just talk to them.
I know. I'm joking.
Jesus. A lot of my close friends are trans.
But it's a spot. I feel like when people talk about not fitting into Star Wars, because that's probably a big conversation. Because if we're going over the series in general and just general beats, what do you guys think of that sentiment that like this show doesn't fit into Star Wars? Because I've seen people talk about that.
I've always disagreed because Star Wars is like, honestly, there's so much you can do with it. Like, I know, like I know, like George Lucas saying like one of his weirdest things about his favorite episode in the Clone Wars was like the one where it's just about the droids. Like he just enjoyed that. But like the thing is like, yeah, I'm sure you can write so many different aspects in a Star Wars universe. It's a universe, so it's like if you want to go focus on the dark, gritty political aspects, you can do that. If you want to focus on some of the whimsical nature, like Jar Jar Binks and his backstory, why don't you do that? I mean, you could technically do that. So I would never say like this doesn't belong in Star Wars.
No, I watched like the first episode of the Clone Wars, so it's like there's like unique variety. Some are just like shoot evil people. Some are just like, oh, here's a day of them training, and here's a political episode. By the way, none of those episodes are good because they're like really toned down.
Well, because yeah, I was gonna say because and because probably the writers of it don't actually understand how politics work either. Because shockingly, most people don't.
Yeah, the political episode with like Bell Organa and Jar Jar are like really weird. That's like episode.
You don't think Jar Jar is a political mastermind?
I mean, of course he is. He made Palpatine become what he is. So.
Yeah, of course. It's like
that was it the Robot Chicken show that made the joke that he was like Darth
Jar Jar and super canon. Oh,
Yeah.
I accidentally clicked on a Discord server when I was trying to click on something else.
Yeah, yeah, that is insane. It's insane to watch that charge. Is insane to watch the Clone Wars because I'm just gonna give you things up because in Andor all the politics are nuanced, like you understand every side. In the Clone Wars, I was like, this is you can tell who is the good, who is actually 100% good, who is 100% evil. There's like no middle ground. It's like the base of
Yeah.
really so toned down is insane. I was like, this is good.
Mustachio O'Twirlo is an evil guy. Who would have guessed?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, the debates are like Andor. It's like, oh, even the bad guys has their own point, like Dedra, Zero. It's like those are insane. And then in the Clone Wars, it was like this Barrel Gardener. I was like, oh, you can't let innocent people die. The person is like, but yeah, if you let innocent people die, but if you do that, you compromise your own safety and the empire and your planet will be susceptible to war. That person is the evil person, by the way. Even though this is actually a really good point. Yeah, that's a Clone Wars for you. But Andor is like, oh, everyone has a point.
Yeah, that's the big thing with Andor in general. It's like it's let's explore because that's the thing. Like the Gilroy quote about the rape scene. I think it was something like it was something akin to this is something that happens in these sorts of like evil empires. Is basically what he was trying to say. Now he didn't word it very well.
But yeah, I think
Yeah, but
I think if he want to do that, he should have done that in season 1 and stuff like that. Use just that torture the fight and just have some guy rape her in that room.
well, I think my problem is it doesn't really. I feel like you could actually cut that out of the show without much consequence because like she already has the trauma from the whole Gorst stuff.
Yeah, because like in the second arc, that's the stuff that she's thinking about. It's the stuff from season 1. It had nothing to do with what was introduced in season 2.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was always kind of like the weird thing, and then you know the way this arc 2 ends is like her and Andor just blowing up the facility. We don't see how they got there, how it happened.
Yeah, like that should have been like would have been like a whole episode if they had the time to do it. I'm sure.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting because like episode 10 does put a lot of emphasis on Luthen because this is his death episode, and then Clea and what their relationship was like while she's going through the hospital to make sure Luthen is dead for good.
Yeah, because
since Dedra finally caught up to Luthen and Lonnie, and
Yeah,
you know, so basically everything is like kind of like sporadic here, and which is also kind of like my whole thing too is like that was pretty lame. Like how they found out about the Death Star. It's like, oh, Dedra's emails got leaked.
no. Lonnie had her credentials, so he could
did, but, like,
he could go under her name, which probably had higher security clearance, in order to basically like look through data in the system. So I can believe that's a thing that would actually happen, and him doing, and she had specifically like high level clearance because she was on like the Gorm project.
yeah, it's more like, but it's like it just comes up like in episode 10,
like,
but that's because of the year gap. So it's like you kind of just start off with that, and it's like, oh, it's already known now.
A lot of the show just especially this stuff this last arc particularly suffers from the fact they have to be doing the year gap stuff. Like we do learn how Luthen got burned, but I feel like I would have liked some more setup before then.
The thing is, I think we could just restructure the last 3 episodes better. It was like instead of like everything unload in episode 10. We can have like episode 10 be like, oh, Lonnie get this information, like, and then he tries to escape this place, and then it ends with him getting killed in episode 10, and then episode 11, this is how Dedra found, and because episode 10 this is how Dedra found out, and we got more chronic stuff, and so the episode 11 we just have Lufan's staff now. Then in episode 12 we got like more Andor stuff, like how it wraps into everything.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those awkward things where it just comes down to they didn't have enough time to do everything they're trying to do.
And then you remember Act 1 of season 2 is fucking worthless when it comes to everything Andor and Bix.
Well, yeah, but even then, it's kind of hard to really put a lot of that into it because there are a bunch of time gaps. So it's ultimately it's like watching a miniseries essentially. A miniseries, that's a full season of a show. So it's like
that's kind of what the unfortunate thing with how this arc system worked. Like I like the arc system as a kind of basically a framework, but when you're having every arc separated by a year, there's some things that can work. Like arc 2 and 3, those work very well separated by a year.
Yeah. Plus the Gorman aspect was like really that and the Aldani. Aldani was this season or the first season?
No, the first one.
Aldani was the first season.
Yeah, the thing is like, do you know that arc 3 is like really tied into Rebels? And people are just like, oh, but because here's the thing, because whenever
I was told that there are some things that contradict Rebels, and it's like,
no,
I don't fucking care. Is what it's a funny reaction.
Well, yeah, like the Mon Mothma speech. Did you see like the leaks of like the conversations about that, where they just like looked at I guess there's some speech she gives in Rebels, and they're just like, I don't want to have this like shitty speech in my show.
Yeah, no, it's like, but here's the thing: you can still assume that this is right before Rebels, and the fact that they actually have a Rebels character adapted in live action, and he's a really small character in Rebels. That the worker who works for Mon Mothma, that person is actually in Rebels. Fun fact. And actually, I pay really close attention to Rebels, but the thing is, like, Dave Filoni could not write speeches. His speeches suck.
Well, most people can't write speeches, but Dave Filoni can't. You could have just stopped it at Dave Filoni can't write.
Oh, then absolutely. He can't write shit.
But yeah, so I guess how are you guys want to do this for a whole season in retrospective? I know we did cover the first arc, but we also now know what paid off and what didn't, and what kind of had to get left behind.
Yeah, so Unity and I did have a podcast where we talked about Arc 2 as well. A lot of like really the Gorman stuff is really what I would say is a really captivating for like a lot of people, especially when we get to episode 8 in particular. I mean, I've like I know like a lot of people they put it up there with like the prison arc as well.
Yeah, it's episode 8 probably is it probably is tied up there with me with One Way Out.
Yeah, the great thing about season 1 and how they did that is like obviously you had like a few episodes with the prison, how they're doing things, and like you see the paranoia and the fear factor of everybody and the cathartic nature of like how an entire floor of people were killed, and that's how that scares everybody.
And then they learn why and what that means and the implications of it.
Yeah, and then it's like kind of like a small detail, but then like with the credit scene, I did like how the credit scene did bring back like with the stuff that they were building was for the Death Star. Like those particular machines they had to keep constantly doing, no questions asked. So it's like, you know, it was a neat way of tying it back to like the bigger narrative that was later. But yeah, even without that, it's like you can, and then how you see like Kino
Lloyd.
Kino.
Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
And like you see like how he goes from like full faith that like one day he'll get out and all this stuff, and then how that breaks when one of the older guys dies from a stroke, and like he took the easy way out by dying and all that stuff. So Yeah, it's and then you see like how you see like from a smaller character how he it essentially becomes like charges everybody to get free. All of it
Yeah.
to end with I can't swim. So
Yeah, basically, he just like he sacrificed everything, even knowing that he could not get out. But he hopes that everyone else can get out.
yeah,
Well, no. He basically he got that like chance to get out, and then it's like I can't swim. It's like this tragedy summed up in like those words, and like yeah, people were talking about wanting him to appear in this season. I was like, there's no way he's still alive.
Yeah, no, and it's like because a lot of things when it comes to Rogue One and Andor is like they are like the major part when it comes to like destroying the Death Star, but no one But the point is that no one remembers them. They only remembers like Luke Skywalker, Leia, Han. But who the fuck? But no one will know who Luthen is, even though Luthen did most of the work, or Lonnie.
yeah. And I honestly, I think that's what's beautiful about the show in general. Like as an overall thing is like everybody here did so much, and that story will not really be told. And I know that's kind of sucks, but it feels real too. Like how many people go through something to do a task, and you don't really know any of those people, but you know the task that was completed, and all that stuff. So it's like I don't always like that from Rogue One. Despite I didn't get a chance to rewatch Rogue One in the time that I had prior to like finishing season 2 and then up to watching Rogue One. So I don't know if you guys could tell
I've
me.
meant to, but I didn't get around to it either.
Not
I've heard though that Rogue One is still bad.
Yeah, I think so because like the final act is like good, but everything before is so lame and stupid.
Yeah. Most people are just talking about like how it's like wow, it's like all this stuff with like it's like very irritating to go through the story of Rogue One through Jin when people really want to go back to Andor again. Especially back when we watched the movie. I know a lot of people didn't really care about Andor.
Yeah,
So yeah.
it's weird because now that we have Andor, the show, and then we are like, oh, the movie's focusing on Jen. Oh, and also the weakness in the Death Star, that is so stupid. Like if Matt, okay, this is a critique of Rogue One. If Matt Mikkelsen decide to like, yeah, let's make a weakness in the Death Star. What should we do? Yeah, let's have a hole that's like 20 meters, like 2 meters, and just like blow it up from the inside. I was like, cool. Do you know what would be a better plan? Have a bomb there, like have a really hidden self-destructing bomb, or like intentionally have a device that we're like, yeah, that part doesn't work. It works fine, but actually it will trigger a reaction if you like press the trigger, the entire thing blow up. You could have just designed it like this. That like here's a 2-meter hole. If someone shoot through it, it will destroy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Rogue One's problem. It's not Andor's problem. It's like it's so weird.
Yeah. It does make me wonder, like, if you could, like, if Tony Gilroy could make Rogue One now, like, how, like, different would that movie be? It probably would be extremely different.
The thing is, Rogue One is reshoot entirely. That's a funny thing. Because they changed they changed the vision already beforehand, and we have no idea how does it look like in the first time.
Yeah, I know they said like I've also seen a lot of people say like I want to see the Rogue One director's cut because of like there's quite a bit of differences from what I'm told, like from the original pitch of the movie versus what we got in total. So yeah, I mean I don't know. It's like if a Snyder cut can exist, sure, why not bring a Rogue One cut? I guess.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think that Gilroy's made Disney the money to like for them to like give him it.
They did. I mean, didn't you give them like 300 million something? But that's from subscription. But that's it.
Yeah, but like I mean, we were talking about the show in general, but like it just looks like a very beautiful show, like in terms
Yeah.
of cinematography and like how the CGI has been.
I think the 2 seasons together are like $700 million.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not 700, 500 million. Let me check the budget. Andor, I know season 1 is 250 million.
I know, I know it's some ludicrous amount of money that none of us poors can ever imagine having.
Hey, just so remember, Andor actually reserved the budget for most of the episode. You only remember like the one way out scene, even though it was like that, dude. That's like 2 episodes of build up of just them just working like normal film set. That does not cost that much. And then
Right.
when
Yeah, the sets and stuff. That's the thing. You do see the money on screen. And this is one of the few like of these shows you actually see the money on screen.
yeah, because they reserved the budget. Also, the season 2 is 290 million.
Yep.
Like
But yeah,
remember,
so you guys did arc 1 and 2. So maybe we just gloss over those briefly and then go into 3 and 4.
yeah, let's do 3 and 4.
Yeah, I will have to kind of say that I do think Bix is like the weakest part, just to put that out there. Only because like, yeah, a lot of it is like farm girl stuff. Grape attempt doesn't really do much.
Well, this is the thing. If you just started,
getting locked up in the safe house where you literally have shots of her just being bored in the safe house. Maybe sometimes having a hard time sleeping here and there. But yeah,
I think the problem is you don't really have the time for the arc they want to do with Bix to work as well as it could.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like because I get the idea. It's like PTSD trauma, leave Andor for to save the universe, the galaxy. Like cool idea, but it's like you need more time.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then she
especially when you're balancing
ends up-
all these other characters.
Yeah. But hey, Act 3 is actually quite amazing. We just build up to the Gorman massacre, which it is from Rebels. Like, is there adapting Is there adapting one line from Rebels? I'm not kidding.
Well, so from what I understand, the original Gorman massacre was like Tarkin landing a ship on a bunch of people, and they did incorporate that into like the past, but they also did their own Gorman massacre.
I'm not sure. I think it's like in the EU and stuff. So I'm never understood that. So
yeah. But the way they did it, I don't know. I personally, I'm kind of like at this point with Star Wars canon, it's so like it's been so like screwed around with at this point. If they just said this was the Gorman massacre, I wouldn't. Well, I'm not. I don't really care that much about Star Wars canon anyway, but I wouldn't care. But they did actually incorporate what was already the Gorman massacre, and then just also did their own thing, which I think is probably the best way to do it.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
like this, like that episode in general is just like it does really well with just like how everybody is like upset and all that stuff. I mean, you had some of this aspect in Ferrex as well, especially when the Empire is coming in and doing something that they normally would not be doing. Like here in this instance, they were creating a barricade, and you can hear everybody is like terrified of like what is going on, and you have everything to do with Cyril. Cyril is like, we didn't really get to talk about him. He is starting to lose like himself with regards to what it is that they are doing on Gorman, because like he knows that it's important for the Empire, but he doesn't know what exactly do they want.
Yeah, so
and-
he's still under the impression that what they're actually doing is they are dealing with essentially rebel insurgents that are kind of tricking and pushing the populace into more active rebellion. Like basically like these Cyril's whole view is like these are just good people that are being misled by rebel agitators who are trying to use Gorman.
Yeah, and then it turns out, and then when shit hits the fan, and then he was like, "Oh wait, what the fuck, man? What do you need an army just to clear a rebel?" He just like started questioning stuff.
Yeah. Well, so it's interesting because Cyril is really he as far as the Empire characters go, he really is he's the lawful good archetype character, but he's in an evil system and he doesn't realize it really, or he even just doesn't want to realize it because so for him, he's just like, I'm just doing my job. I'm trying to make the Empire a better place. I'm trying to root out corruption. I'm trying to protect people. These people are being used. Like that's clearly the setup from Arc 2 into Arc 3 with his character. And Arc 3 is really where he's beginning to realize that there's more going on the Empire side.
Yeah, which is and then he just confront, because like when he's like locked into a place, he saw the robot. It's like, oh, those robots from Rogue One, like K2SO, the K2
Mhm.
unit.
Yeah. They're also in Andor season 1, I believe. I believe that one of those is what arrests Andor.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so he knows like how powerful they are, and he was like, what the fuck, man? And he just goes to his girlfriend. Was like, okay, I'll fucking kill you if you do not tell me what's happening, because he's like,
he straight up strangles her.
it's insane, because like his arc has always been like he's been looked down upon people as to be strong, and then now when things are getting out of hand, he was like, yeah, fuck you. I want to know right now. Do not dare to do anything against me.
Yeah, and there's a mineral in the ground, and all that stuff. So, then I wish the best for you, and then he leaves her. He leaves the building. And prior to this, so while this is happening inside, there's a chaos going outside because the people are upset about the Empire being there, and they are rioting to a point where they eventually start singing their national anthem. In the meantime,
which, by the way, seems to calm down the crowd. That's another interesting thing. Everyone, it almost feels like it's like a tactic. It's like, oh well, we're here protesting, and us just singing. That there's no way that can be construed as like violent,
Yes, but so what the Empire decided to do for the massacre to trigger is that they actually put inexperienced officers in the mix, so that they're going up and just creating like a barricade with the wall, and it just gets to a point where they trigger somebody to attack so that they can have the excuse that, well, this was an attack, so we're going to shoot back on attackers. So,
and also the fact they actually shoot their own man just to justify it.
Yeah, and they shot their own men to justify the thing. Yes. Yeah, and then
the Empire just isn't taking any chances too. Like they have the inexperienced soldiers that are set to basically act as like the riot team, the riot squad. They've already armed the rebels so that just to make it like maximum impact that something bad is gonna happen. They have the TIE fighters flying around just unnerving people. They have the soldiers. They have all of these other elements, and then on top of that, they had this sniper plan planted to kill their own guy to, well, basically just set off that that they've set up the powder keg, and then that sniper is just the last spark.
Yeah, it's like this is like an episode. Like, despite all of this being in the episode itself, it does a really good job of like really tensing up everything to get to that bloodbath. And
the thing is that I know this will happen because I've seen like Rebels, like the Gorman massacre is there. So I just anticipated, because I will know that, oh shit, everything they do is gonna be not gonna be useful at the end.
But
Yeah.
even I was like, good. Maybe, just maybe, they could justify it, and then they, of course, that has to retcon Rebels, but okay,
Dude.
but at the
Hey, I
same time,
mean,
it's like,
look, listen. Filoni shows retcons itself and the lore that already exists. So who
Yeah.
cares if
Okay,
somebody else does it?
I don't believe that these two shows are in the same universe.
I don't believe it either. But it's like, motherfucker, this show actually follows Rebels so well. It's insane.
Oh, no,
Here.
no, that's the funny thing. Gilroy was heavily criticized for being like somebody who wasn't like a big Star Wars nerd or Star Wars fan. But he seems to be the only writer the only like the showrunner they've had that's like gives a fuck about like respecting the canon beyond just, oh hey, here's a random cameo of Glub Shido.
That's insane. That's fucking one line for Rebels, and of course, episode. If you don't know, that episode of Rebels is also, Mon Mothma is gonna resign and just gonna tell the console that she's not gonna do it. She's like, she's resigning. I'm gonna help the Rebels now. So even I know what episode 9 is gonna be about, and she's gonna succeed. But it's like there's still like a lot of tension. Like,
Unity,
what
I have to
will?
go on mute for a second. Can you carry the conversation?
Sure. Yeah, but yeah, episode 9 of Andor is basically leading up to the first appearance of Mon Mothma in Rebels.
Yeah. That's from what I understand. That is how it works. But yeah, episode 7, a lot of it is set up. We learn like essentially, yeah, there is no alternative. They have to do this with the gore, and it's like you do have that line, "Bad luck, Gorman." It's
Yeah.
part of Gast is like almost like he just doesn't seem to well, I wouldn't even say he doesn't give a shit. He's just, it feels like he's been in this machine so long. There's no like, he's just like, well, that's what has to be done because higher up said that's what has to be done.
Yeah, and then we got, because like Cassian's reason of coming back to Andor, Gorman, is to kill Dedra, and none of the attempts work. And then when he slowly realized that was like, shit, like that's not gonna work. And then because his friend is also here to help people, and his friend has a girlfriend here, so
Yep.
it's a shame. But of course, I'm so concerned is Will gonna survive. By the way, Will surviving in episode 9 is fucking stupid. Unfortunately, they did not
Yeah.
justify it.
It's one of those things where I always hate when named characters have named main characters have a bit of like plot armor, but it's an unfortunate thing with a lot of like media. And to be fair, Andor doesn't really do that all the time. But occasionally it will happen, you know?
Yeah, remember, Cyril died in episode 8. That's a funny thing.
Yeah.
And he did not get a chance to redeem himself, even though he at the final moment he decided not to shoot Cassian. But
yeah, it's almost like he's built up like Cassian in his head, and at that moment he's not thinking rationally, which is why he attacked Cassian in the first place. Cyril really is like I wouldn't say he is kind of the window into like an average good person that's within the Imperial machine. Because the whole time with the Gorman stuff, he believes he's here to root out rebel agitators. He's here to essentially protect the people of Gorman. And then episode 8, the build up before the actual fighting happens. That's when because he's seeing all the signs that I think he's willfully like deceived himself before, and realizing like, oh shit, this was all me. This was all what building, especially when you have like, for example, Deidre talking about how, oh, we'll be rewarded for this. We've done our work, and he's just thinking like, well, what do you mean we've done our work? I haven't like caught any rebel agitators. We haven't caught any rebel agitators. That's what we were sent to do, right? Like, he has no idea what the actual mission on Gorman is.
And he's working it for a year. That's a funny thing.
Yeah, he's probably been doing a good thing. It's one of the things where I feel like Cyril is somebody that if he was born 20 years earlier or 20 years later, he probably would have been a force for good in the world.
Yeah. But unfortunately, he's in this timeline. He does not. His fate is so tragic because he's like, you can tell he's a good person who tried to do a good thing. But he never. And the last thing he heard from Cassie was like, "Wait, who the fuck are you?"
Oh yeah, because you got to remember, like, Cassian wasn't like this representation of evil, this like rival he's built up in his head for years and years and years, and I think this is actually their first direct interaction too.
For episode 3, it was like have Cassian just put a gun at him, was like, basically, I don't know, threaten him and just tell his teammates to leave.
Yeah, but you know, like, this is their first real interaction since the corporate security days, and even that was very minimal. This is their first time after Cyril has like essentially build up Cassian as this avatar for what he believes the rebellion is in his head, and as this like ultimate evil, and then he's just like, who are you?
Yeah, because he was like, dude, I don't even know you. Who the fuck? It's like 4 years ago, and I just meet you like briefly. Do you know how many evil people I shoot and killed?
I was gonna say the amount of people like it's like imagine if it's the equivalent, I think, for Cassian of if you randomly ran into somebody who you had an argument with in the Walmart parking lot 5 years ago. You probably wouldn't even remember you ever met this person.
Oh, absolutely. That's a funny thing.
Yeah.
But oh well, it's just rivalry. Sometimes we just build into our heads, but and also he saved Dedra's life, so that sucks. Accidentally saved her.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Dedra and Cyril are both like, it's almost like they're coming from kind of the same angle, but then different sides of morality with that angle. Like, they're both the lawful, like, old type characters, but Dedra is the type that's, she's just more ambitious. Like, I think both of them had the capacity for good or evil, but both lean a certain way. And Dedra is very much the type that's like, she does have a morality. She does have that. Like, she's clearly not happy about what they're doing to Gorman, which is a thing I like. I always hate when all of the bad guys are treated as like mustache twirlers, and really the Imperials have looked into other ways to get like, Krennic was apparently trying to reproduce the material they needed from Gorman, but he couldn't.
But yeah, and then they were like, oh shit, how do you get rid of them? You could just ask for trade, but they would not. They would say no.
Oh yeah, because the problem is the mining will destroy the planet. That's kind of a hard sell.
Oof, yeah, that was a. But
hey,
yeah.
Unity, can I blow up? Can I blow up your house and in exchange I'll give you a bunch of like money?
Is that $1 billion?
No.
Fuck you.
No. Also, if you refuse, just so you know, I've got a bunch of guys outside your place with guns, so we're gonna do it anyway.
Fuck you. Yeah, no. Oh god, Gorman. It's like such a strong build up.
Oh, they also spend a lot of time characterizing the planet, their culture.
Yeah. So when they got massacred, it's like oof.
Yeah, their culture, their economy, we have their national anthem. We have their, like, I know more about Gorman from the 3 episodes of television than I care to learn about Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Or from 6 episodes of television than I care to learn about Mandalorians when they have all show dedicated to them.
Do you even know what those counters are like? Do you even learn anything about those counters?
I don't fucking know. I found Mando really dull. It's
Yeah.
just action scenes where nobody realizes they don't have to shoot his armor.
Oh right, shit. Why can't we do that?
Oh, true. True. That's the thing. The action scenes in the show are much more parsed out too after arc 1. I like that. There really isn't much of an action scene in part 2. There's the heist kind of, but I won't really call that an action scene as much.
Act 2. Fuck. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that is the only quote unquote action scene. That's a funny thing.
Yeah, and then obviously here in arc 3, we get the Gorman massacre, and yeah, the build up, the setup, all these steps the Empire is taking, and none of that. But I feel like the moment you get all of this happening in the square, and all of these precautions the Empire has taken to make sure this happens as they want, it doesn't really matter if the Empire shot that guy or not. Something else would have happened that triggered. Hold on.
Oh. Okay. Since the two hosts have come.
Sorry, my brother had come into the room. But yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter what triggered the massacre. This is one of those things where the Empire has set up all of the cards to lead to this outcome.
Yeah, it's like they carefully planned that. It's like, yeah, let them take stuff. Just let them attack them so we can further justify that, yeah, they are terrorists and some shit.
Yeah, and the rebel group on Gorman I found really interesting too, because they're this it's kind of a better version of the rebels from the first arc, where it's they're clearly not competent at this. They don't really know what they're doing, but they when Cassian got there in arc 2, and he was just oh my god, these amateurs, this woman just randomly approached me and outright started asking me questions about the rebellion. Cassian's just dealing with amateurs at this point, and he was bring up yeah, the guys you have following me, tell them to knock it off because they're just drawing attention to me.
Oh yeah, those are. Oh, yeah, I remember. I remember a lot of how they talk and stuff, which is insane. Even
they have this pseudo French language that, but yeah, so there's this nice there are a lot of people who really believe in this and really care and are doing what people probably would do, but they're making very natural mistakes to make because it's not like they've lived in this forever.
And Cassian even pointed out, I was like, dude, you're doing a thing that everyone knows is true anyway, so why the fuck do you do it? Of course he's not gonna support it.
Yeah,
that's the big thing in our Act 2 that is yeah, you don't have to heist that. They're gonna make yourself worse.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because that's what I mean. That's another one of those acts that just leads into the Gorman massacre. If it's really hard for the Empire to actually, first of all, propagate, because once you have all these people on Gorman who are rebels and have these weapons, that's probably why you have all these terror attacks happening, even if they are false flags, because you give a bunch of people guns while there's an oppressive force kind of looming over them. somebody's gonna have the idea of doing something that's gonna end poorly.
True, and that everything consequences episode 8. Episode 7 have like Luffy bring Cassian to Gorman. Oh, amazing. Through Will.
Yep.
Oh, welcome back.
Hey, Red.
Hey.
Yep. Yeah, we were just talking about the build up to the massacre itself, and yeah, not only
Right.
that, but I also love the insidiousness of like the Imperial propaganda stuff that we get.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of it almost is like they basically dog walk the public into having these opinions about the gore. First, just generally like some negative opinions, and then after the rebels get weapons, and they can easily justify like, oh my god, rebel attacks are happening, and like whether those are false flags or like genuine attacks that rebels are doing because they're well-meaning but kind of not very strategic and not very organized.
True. Oh god. And yeah, that just does not want to do that, but she's like hungry for more power and like ranks.
Yeah, she's ambitious. Ambition is like her biggest flaw.
Like her greatest like strength and also her greatest weakness. Unfortunate.
Yep. Which is going to lead to another thing, another consequence for her after the Gorman massacre. But yeah, so when we get to the plaza, yeah, I was just saying, Red, do you agree? It probably was inevitable something would happen, even if they didn't shoot that soldier.
Right.
I feel like it's too much of a powder keg to not go boom.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, just like the fear of the people in general in that scene, and plus just the way that in the general aspect, like of how it was edited, how it was shot, and all that stuff. I think it did a really good job of like, it's like even like Cassian not really understanding what is going on, but like it's like what's happening here, like who, like this wasn't part of the plan, or like things like that. So it's like when you have your main character also like scared for this thing that's about to happen, it's like it's just really well done. Just
on my rewatch today,
yeah.
Actually, I also noticed the reporters are already kind of spinning it too, because like you have while they're just doing the chant, before the singing, but when they're doing the chant and stuff, the reporter is talking about how, oh my god, the Gormans are like sieged this square, and referring it to it already as like an insurrection, and they're at like the very front of the crowd where people are obvious. From the look of it, it just looks at a bunch of angry people shouting stuff. It's like it's very clear they really thought about the framing of that, even though it's just like a second detail. Like.
Yeah, yeah, and and this kind of stuff does carry into the next episode with Mon Mothma, and like how these like narrative spins are going on internally and externally. Yeah,
it's the Imperial machine going at full work with their eye specifically on you, which is not somewhere you want to be.
Yeah, that's. Of course, like because the Empire, they control the galaxies, they control the news reports. What they say goes.
And it's funny because it kind of is, even if they aren't specifically like going out of their way to control the media. Even then, you still kind of get the the thing we have in the modern day with like entertainment journalism, where you have like access media and the people who get like screeners and stuff. Because remember, what Andor's cover here was being a journalist, and it's mentioned like, oh, all journalists need to get approval from the Empire in order to operate here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like even without the Empire like actively arresting or persecuting journalists, they can still kind of do stuff like that, where it's like, oh, well, we can just make it harder for you to actually do your job.
Yeah.
And and then the journalists who play ball are obviously going to be the ones that get the story.
True. But
That was one of my nitpicks is like I did feel like the news reporting, the TV, like having little like pretty much TV screens equivalent it was kind of silly. That and the iPad, like where you can where Bix was recording herself in the next episode, and then something that you see later. I don't know. It's just kind of like with this universe using like holograms usually. It was just kind of.
I don't know, because the holograms are all tinted blue though, so I don't know if you would want that for everything.
Yeah.
And plus, the Empire does use screens too, so we see that in
Empire Strikes Back when Vader choked the Imperial officer.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah. So I see no reason for it not to be that.
It was just kind of, yeah. It just felt like especially with the Bix one, it was like literally like an iPad.
It's one of those things where you see it and it looks a bit too
modern.
like modern tech, and it does throw you off. I get that.
Yeah, but yeah, going back to the thing. Yeah. So when the actual fighting chaos happens, Cyril is also, after learning with everything that Dedra said, and is completely upset with that. And then the main father Gorman guy that we were following, especially when he figures that Cyril was definitely the snitch, and he chastises Cyril for what he has done and all that stuff, and he's ruined the planet and all that stuff. Cyril is still not entirely sure exactly what exactly is going on, but there is definitely something not so great going on and all that stuff. So you have that in the side, and then when the actual conflict starts happening, guns are flying everywhere and everything like that. And then eventually they bring out the KX droids, which are super uber deadly. It pretty much kills pretty much that Gorman family that we were following for the first, the other arcs in the show so far. It was they all died.
Yeah, I mean, it's which is interesting because they died by throwing, and then just snap their necks.
Yeah.
Which I don't think people remember. That's how you can actually die like this, because Star Wars, it's let's just say the Force.
Let's say you also see this in a lot of other stuff like Marvel and other stuff too. It's just throw them. It's all right. But yeah, people could die that way.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot more realistic than people remember. But yeah, it's quite funny. Those, you can tell how strong those KX droids are. It's oof. No wonder Cassian wants one of them at the end. But yeah, Cyril literally just ran into a palace after he got information from his ex. I was yeah, you're nuts. Fuck off. Yeah. And he was and he actually witnesses oh, the Empire's actually shooting people for real.
And he's dazed. Kind of one of those I can't believe what's going on, despite a whole war is going on. But he does catch Cassian is trying to make a makeshift sniper to Dedra's office, and this is where he tackles him. They both get into a fist fight, and pretty brutal, I'd say. It gets to a point.
I think it's particularly interesting with this because it's Cyril at this point, he's almost coming apart at the seams already. He doesn't know really what's going on. He doesn't know who he does. At this point, I think him attacking Cassian, it really is just his last effort to try and fix his worldview, because it's oh, I was talking about rebel insurgency, that rebellion insurgencies, is in agitators. Oh, that's the guy that he sees as the face of the rebellion. And right now, he just needs anything to distract him from what he's already kind of realizing he's done.
Yeah, it gets pretty brutal. Cassian is kind of losing at this point, but then because there's all these guns blazing and like explosions happening here and there, uh, there's an explosion that happens that knocks him out to different sides. Cassian is defenseless, and he backs off to a corner. Uh, Cyril gets his gun, and when he has the gun pointed at Cassian, Cassian's question is, "Who are you?" And that
Yeah.
kind of stops Cyril for a second. And I'm glad he doesn't say anything because the obvious thing is like, "What do you mean? Who am I?" Or like
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
It took a lot of restraint for them to do that because you all of everything that's said is just said from his expression and his face. Like
Yeah,
he's
and
just
then
like, what do you mean? Who? Yeah, you get the what do you mean? Who am I? And it's also like he doesn't know who I am. He doesn't know why I'm attacking him. And it's almost like that's like the final part of what like makes him realize that like there's no way Cassian could have actually been responsible for this. He would have had to have known about Cyril if he was.
yeah, it's like it also kind of goes back to that we're all like nobody in this larger scale thing. So it's like even if we've done things to like hurt somebody else, it's like sometimes you just don't even realize what you're hurting in that aspect. So it's like with Cassian not actually knowing who Cyril really was, he's just somebody. He was somebody that he had a issue with back in season 1, but like it's just like off to the side kind of a thing.
And I equivocated to Unity my view of it. It's like if somebody you had an argument with in a Walmart parking lot like 4 years later showed up.
Yeah,
pretty much.
and then in that moment when he's like not sure about it, he gets shot in the head. It's like damn, it's like that's super contrived, I guess you could put, but like, and you see it was the father, Gorman father, that was having an issue with Cyril from the beginning. So
yeah, Rylance, I
it was
believe
fair.
was his name.
So I think it was a fair end of the character.
Yeah,
I didn't expect him to die.
It's also very poetic with Rylance because Rylance is kind of I guess you could call him like a MLK type, like as far as rebellion like figures go. He's the peaceful guy. He's the guy who's been advocating we can't go into violence. We can't rely on being violent because it's going to cause problems. It's just going to cause the Empire to crack down. And that him being the one to kill Cyril, who is then like kind of the main like good guy Imperial that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's very poetic in a way, especially as Cyril is like almost backing down and having realized, because who knows what would have happened if he wasn't shot like that. So Cyril might have just gone back to Coruscant and retired. He might have just joined the rebellion. There's a lot of things he could have ended up doing, but no, he's just as he's realized like the horror and basically what his actions have amounted to is when he's dead.
Yeah, it's like really tragic fate because the Empire was not gonna know like what he did, and then every Cassie and the other rebels just realize that he's just a fucking he's a backstabbing shithead.
Oh, they don't even realize that. They don't realize the extent they know about it is I guess Rylance's view, and Rylance thinks he was just this spy that set them up and screwed them over.
Yeah, so it's like even though he has a redemption, the tragedy of the situation is like he will never get recognized for it.
Yeah.
Which speaks to the feeling.
At best,
that's true for pretty much everybody.
So at best, he's going to be known as a treacherous little shit who
Yeah.
basically led them all to their deaths. More likely, nobody's going to ever remember him. He's just gonna be another name on the casualty list for the Gorman massacre.
Yeah, it's like because like the show has a consistent theme. It's like everyone did a lot, like everyone made a lot of sacrifice, but most people would not get recognized from it. And they actually killed it so well. Like season 1, like who got killed? Like the Downey Heights in season 1 was like everyone got killed. Who got mentioned? Aside from like Fel and fuck it, it's like
Cassian.
Cassian and Belinda Chandra was like mentioned it once in a while. That's it.
Belinda
Right.
Chandra.
Jesus. Oh yeah.
I like you still call her that.
Hey, we still have to watch the newest Doctor Who episode. I'm sure it'll be great. Unfortunately, I got spoiled.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna-
Boy, I can't wait.
I'm gonna watch it with you tomorrow, along with Final Destination Bloodlines. Oh yeah, don't worry. We got
Choose one of those to watch with me.
Hey, yeah, we got tickets to watch Final Destination Bloodlines together tomorrow. That was good.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, again, it's like I always thought with like Andor in particular, having this kind of theme, it is essentially a part of it in the Rogue One movie as well, like how all these people did something that will never be recognized. That's partially because of the fact that it's literally a insert retcon, not really a retcon, but like kind of a retcon of like making a story out of something like, oh, you want to know how the rebels got the Death Star plans? Here's a movie about it. So it's like that kind of thing. So it's interesting. You take this concept and then you put it into a TV show, and you have like a bunch of characters, not just like Andor himself, but like a bunch of other characters in the story who all have their own roles in the downfall of the Empire, but it's stuff that you'll never really get to recognize. I always thought that was like an interesting way that this entire project, taking it, was a pretty interesting way to go. And yeah, Cyril is just another example of that.
Yeah.
Well, there's also a massive theme of the Empire using up people and then kind of tossing them to the side, which I've seen other people like highlight. And the interesting thing I've noticed that other people don't notice is that, you know who else does that?
Yeah.
Luthen.
Mm.
But that's 100% his, which I feel like is one of the reasons almost that the rebellion outgrows Luthen, because his tactics can't really be used to really build up a rebellion that people will actually want to follow, because he does do these like shadowy, shady operations that
and it's stuff that we learn. I believe we learned in this flashback that like he was a defective Imperial officer, sergeant, who on Clea's like home planet, they were pretty much killing them all, and it got to a point where he just wanted it all to stop. But seeing Clea locked in his ship was like something that kind of puts him in like a newer path, but taking the knowledge that he has and to apply it into one day stopping this. I mean, he has it's a quote that they're spamming, but it's a very nice quote with like how the rebellion is out there everywhere, all across the galaxy, waiting to disgust you, basically. So
I mean, the thing,
we do also within this section get a bit more with Yavin, which I like. The Yavin setup is, I think I would have liked to see more, and if we got like a longer show, we probably would have. But I do like that Yavin is becoming more of an actual like hierarchical organization.
Yeah, it's like a stronger build up, and to be honest, a lot of things are thanks to Luthen.
if Luthen does not involve a shady business, no one will be willing to. They would never get the plans.
Yeah,
And
you need a Luthen early on because the unfortunate thing with a rebellion is like if you just build the rebellion like the rebellion on just essentially ideals, then it's really easy to crush. It is really easy to crush because you can't exactly put together an organized military right away. All of Luthen's efforts culminate in the Yavin group existing. Like, remember, his whole like thing in the first season. It's like what he does is he helps set up these like independent rebel outfits, and then he kind of just keeps doing that because and which is also why it outgrows him, and that's a big thing in this season that he just gets too overwhelmed by all the different channels and all the different messages and all the different things going on at any given time.
Yeah, so he just did his own way. But yeah,
and everyone else is getting sick of him because there's only so often you can be the guy. Luthen's job is basically to be the bad guy.
Yeah, he's the bad guy, but he has to be bad guy. And remember, in episode 9, if he's not he's the one that gets Mon Mothma to safety, and no one will get recognized. But if Mon Mothma just follows like Bail Organa's plan, she will get fucked already. That's a funny thing. Even though Luthen is like one of a shady person who is like that things like more extreme. If he did not do that, the entire rebellion will fall apart.
Yeah, well, that's the truth of it. Really, it's like he's kind of been the one doing the dirty work that sets the groundwork for what the rebellion becomes, which is this more honorable, more laudable thing. But he is like the shady past of it, which is why he can't really ever get the basically his whole plot line. And are we just moving directly on to episode 10 then?
Actually, we're talking about episode 9. Remember, I think there's a few more things that show his value. It's like remember when Cassian's like, oh, I don't want to do more for Luthen, but like he still keeps doing it. And when one of the Bail Organa spies, one of the Empire spies like try to kidnap Mon Mothma, like Cassian's method is immediate shoot it, including the driver, who is not even hostile. But it's like he has to do it, or else everything will be fucked. Even though the method is like really dirty, really shady.
Oh yeah, by the way, just another note before we keep going. Except recast Disney, I think the guy who did Bale did a pretty good job with material that he was given and all that stuff. Just accept it and move on, man. It's okay. We don't need AI deepfakes.
He is the
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's just the truth. Like, people just find that really disrespectful to like the act. Even if the actor approved of it, they find it really disrespectful if you AI deepfake.
Yeah.
No, it was really funny that like this week, like Andor finished. Like you have a pretty good finale for what it is, and then 2 days later, the Star Wars post a video of an AI trailer. It's like, okay, going right back to glip shit. I guess.
I remember
it's a funny company.
Also remember Rogue One CGI Tarkin back from the dead. So it was like that would be a big contrast.
It's like I'm surprised they didn't bring Tarkin, but Gore said if I needed him, I would have brought him in. So same with Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine.
I think that's a good move because like remember Krennic. Okay, Krennic in the show overall is like, oh, I can crush the entire ISB with one finger, but in the Empire side, he's basically nothing.
Yeah.
Well, Krennic is basically. He's not nothing, but he's kind of a big fish in a small pond because at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, he's big and important. You know who's above him? Tarkin and Vader.
Yeah. Careful not to.
And then the Emperor is above everyone.
Yeah.
It's
It's also funny
it
because
is.
Ben Mendelsohn was filming Secret Invasions at the same time as Andor season 2. So
That is
And-
funny.
Yeah, that is funny a bit. And then when Ben Mendelsohn just look at the script, was like, look at Secret Invasion, was like, why the fuck do I have to say those lines? And compared to Andor, it's like, oh, thank fuck, I got good dialogue.
Yeah, because so episode 9, there is a lot of Luthen stuff, mostly because it's a very Mon Mothma focused episode. So
yeah,
it's
especially because
focused a lot on
it's a lot of the aftermath of the Gorman massacre.
And also to lead up to
Yeah.
She's also ashamed that like how the Senate is like already spinning it like it was the fault of the Gormans. They're the ones who did it. Like they're trying to sweep it under the rug like they usually do.
The Gorman senator is literally like marched out and basically in cuffs, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen to one of you guys soon. Remember my story, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and
mhm.
just so you know, this is building up to Rebels, the first appearance of Mon Mothma in Rebels. So I was looking at it, I was like, yeah, this is gonna happen. She's gonna give a speech, and then she has to escape.
The speech they had her give was really good too.
Yeah, the good thing about Rebels is like they actually did not show the entire speech. They just like have the Empire show like 10 seconds of the speech. So it's like so you can spin it any way you want.
Yeah. Somebody else can write the good dialogue for me. So there you go.
Yeah.
Right. So they have the ISB have also put bugs in Mon Mothma's apartment. And then when they do break it and all that stuff. And she's also she's having a hard time with the Senate, but then also with Luthen, because like Luthen apparently had her driver be kind of like his informant about things.
Not driver, the housekeeper.
The housekeeper, yeah. The
driver
driver is ISB, yeah.
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 Yeah, so like basically like Mon Mothma is like under the guise of like so many people like that she doesn't know who to trust and all that stuff. So
yeah, because you have so much spy games going on, and her reaction is kind of, it's very understandable. It's kind of this person who they have been like involved, but they haven't been like directly involved with all of the goings on. Now, basically, the edges are getting closer and closer to her. It's like the spy games are are closing in on her specifically. Like the apartments, but she's got different informants just popping up all around her. You have Bale talking to her about his plan.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that we know Bale can be trusted, but Bale doesn't know that can his team be trusted.
Yeah,
well, Luthen even says that he has a mole on his
the idea
team.
is like it's my responsibility not to know my team like that. The less I know, the better, kind of a thing. So, and then they had one girl who's in the ISB. Eventually, when Cassian is sent by Luthen to go and extract Mon Mothma after the speech, so Andor's doing what he does, and when they go down, then the lady, she reveals that she wants to take Mon Mothma. They kill her pretty justly.
And the way we do that is like the rebel character. Oh yeah, the housekeeper. The housekeeper is a rebel character. If people do not know that, just like she's a rebel spy, and Cassie immediately shoot her without hesitation.
I'm the spy.
And then they're like, yeah, and then even the other people was like, who is not even involved, was like, what the fuck? No, I'm not.
I don't care if you win. I just want Kylo Ren to lose.
Yeah, I was like, fuck you. Let me just take you. I don't care. Are you with her, without Bell or Organa or not? Just get down. Let us leave.
Yeah, and then they walk out, and obviously the Empire, they're trying really hard not to get Mon Mothma out of the building. Andor wanted to go one way to get to the Docker Bay, but like it was just not working, especially with who was coming in. So Mon Mothma had to tell him a different way to get out. They eventually get to a point where her ISP driver is walking. He's like, "You trust him?" Oh, he's ISP. He's like, "What's his name?" Clovis, I think. Is like, I was like, Clovis, who's that? Shoots him. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it
that's
should,
that.
and by the way, shoot someone in public, so it's like, oh fuck. Okay. Or like, yeah.
Well, yeah. At this point, though, it's also a case of they're already after us, so it's kind of like no, him shooting someone in public, probably not a good idea. And they do that a few times in the show, and it's always kind of a bit annoying that it never comes up.
But this case is like, yeah, what can you do? Either you can just talk your way out of it, but at the same time, you can also shoot him. That's gotta be quicker.
Yeah, well, especially because right now there isn't really a talking their way out of it. Like, what are they gonna say?
Yeah, I'm actually ISB. Let us into the ship. I'm gonna lead you to Darth Vader. Yeah, something like this. I guess you can say something like this, but at the same time, it's like you can just shoot him.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's literally a case of like I don't. Even if you talk your way out, okay, what then? And he's gonna be like, oh, okay, so we're going somewhere.
Plus,
so where are we going?
Mon Mothma's also under arrest too, so it's like you might as well just commit another crime while you're at it. So
at this point, you're already on your way to getting the fuck out. I do love how Andor just doesn't even hesitate. He's just like, nope, you're dead.
Oh, he's ISB. Well, mind the gun. So
it's almost like, oh, he's ISB. Well, that makes this easy.
Yeah. So he does take her to the Luthans' hideout, basically. They do have a conversation. I don't know if you guys recall it.
Jesus, I didn't remember it. To be fair, I'm so sleep deprived. It's getting hard for me to remember it.
Yeah.
Let's see. What's the conversation? Oh shit.
I think we were still talking about the escape from the ISP, and I believe the next part is. First off, you also had the brief moment too of the person trying to like get into the security room to stop Mon Mothma's broadcast, and it's very clear the maintenance workers are like kind of, if not, I believe they were set up as being like rebellion.
Yeah. Also, another thing
I like that.
we had to mention too is like in the speech. The reason the Empire is really going after Mon Mothma is she does put the whole Gorman thing as it was a genocide, and it was like Emperor Palpatine was in charge of that, and he should be ashamed, and the Empire's manipulation of the truth and all this stuff. So basically, a breaking point that like I'm tired of like being a part of the Empire and all that stuff, even if it causes treason. It is necessary to put out there.
Yeah. It's weird. If you guys seen the Rebels episodes, I don't recommend you. Basically, what happens? Mon Mothma gave another speech and to the entire basically galaxy, and then after one speech later, after the speech, 10 seconds later, the entire galaxy was like, "Fuck it!" Like flies to rebel, immediately joins the rebellion, just try to fight the Empire. It's that stupid. And like Rebels and Clone Wars are really bad when it comes to depicting a war.
Yeah.
It's so, but yeah, the lesser you know about Rebels, the better.
Yeah. So Mon Mothma, she does. So they're basically going back to Yavin, and when they go back, Cassian, he is pretty much emotionally exhausted. He wanted that to be the last mission with Gorman, and after the whole massacre and all that stuff, he just wants to retire, have a new life with Bix. Looks like they had sex because in the next scene, Bix has a kid. So there you But before that, she does leave because she does not want Cassian to get out of the rebellion because well, essentially because like prior when when they were in the oven together and they met the Force healer and they said that he was like a very important aspect to the rebellion for something.
She seems to really buy into it,
and Bix is like really into that idea.
I also think there's a degree of there is always like this is a thing plotline that often happens, the idea of like no you I can't afford to have you like having mixed loyalties, like you we've already like dedicated, we need to win, we've already sacrificed so much, and if I'm still here, you're always going to be putting me first. You're not going to be actually be putting the rebellion first. And also, like, yeah, Cassian has already like been like, yeah, I'm good to retire, go somewhere with Bix, and yeah, what she makes, it's weird because it is kind of a sacrifice to an extent. It's like there's no life with Bix and Cassian.
Yeah, and see, she knew that there's 3 episodes left and a movie for Andor, so I can't let you retire. That's crazy talk.
I mean, to be honest, we expected her to die. So, but that's
we
also
did expect her to die, so that is true.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but
I'm fine with the ending they gave for.
Oh yeah. It's just funny now when you
time.
watch Rogue One and like you see like the dynamic that he has with Jin, and then like how it ends with the two of them together. It does parallel his death and her ending with her son, the hope versus the dread. So it's like, yeah, it's funny, but at the same time, it's just like for Andor's death in particular. But yeah.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, Rogue One, the movie that got reshot entirely.
And probably, like I
it's
said,
still
it
the best
probably
Disney Star
needs
Wars
to get
movie.
rewatched. It probably still would need to be remade because they didn't have a lot of what Andor was at the time.
Sure.
And I think it kind of suffers for that a lot. Plus, it's just it is just mid as far as movies go, from what I remember.
I don't think it's gonna be mad. I think it's gonna be a mess. Like at the very least, you can't care us about any of the characters.
Yeah. I mean the only major difference will be like, okay, well now we have some investment in like Andor.
Yep, and also it's like Saw Gerrera, the random soldier known as what the fuck is it?
Oh yeah, I really like Saw for what he is in this show. He's this is kind of just the truth with rebellions or revolutionaries and stuff. You get like there's multiple types you kind of need for a successful rebellion, and Saw is one of those where you need somebody who's this like kind of batshit insane type that. Yeah, well, that's also really common with rebellions and the like in history. It's like, well, he even has the line, "Rebellions are not for the sane."
Yeah. Yeah. Oh well, that was
Yeah, and
but
then
hey,
this is also where they do rewire K2SO to make him nicer
and yeah.
work for them. So yeah.
By the way,
Which makes sense. I mean,
he's pretty much
we've seen these.
So yeah.
Yeah, we've seen these bots. They are really, really good.
Yeah, and by the way, this is the first episode, like first episode, Cassian and what's it called, Mothma on screen together.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they finally interact, and the interaction is amazing.
Honestly, like what I liked about this show in particular, it goes back to classic Game of Thrones, like where like you had all these like factions of people, like despite being like a larger scale story, and then when you have these characters like meeting together, like at some point in the show, it's like it kind of feels like that sitcom, like when they used to have like sitcoms and like how they interact with each other sometimes. So it's like it feels like that. It's like, it's kind of nice seeing like these characters who never really interact with each other, despite being in the same show, and now they're together. So I just find that
Speaking
nice.
of characters we never saw interact before, we actually get one of the best interactions from between two of those characters in the next episode.
Oh, yeah, episode 10.
Yep.
I can stop.
Yeah.
I think my biggest disappointment for episode 10. Okay, I think it's episode 11. I hate Mon Mothma's new look.
Oh well, they had to cater to
Yeah, they're trying to make her look like she's supposed
Rebels
to look
and
like. That's
the original trilogy.
Yeah, that still looks like shit though. I really did not like that look.
So it does cut like a year later, and then after the events
Yep.
of Gorman, Lonnie gains access to Dedra's personal files and discovers the secret project. The Empire.
Well, he says he's had that for a year, but he hasn't told Luthen because Luthen would push him to use it, and he knows that the moment he uses it, he's burned.
Yeah, and that's kind of like this. This was like one of the biggest things for me. It was like that 1 year time gap is like I just really wasn't really much of a fan because like it's pretty big for what we're talking. Like literally, it's the Death Star.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
It's and then it was like, oh, here I found it. I mean, it makes sense. He found it. I was like, oh, that was quick.
Yeah, for the reveal of how we get to this information being told to us, like that he's had it for a while and like this kind of thing. And then it is a part of the memes because of like how quick and sudden it is. But yeah, essentially Dedra's emails got leaked. So it's like there's
Lonnie specifically did go looking through her information.
Yeah. No, but like, but memes are not going to remember the context.
That's true. But yeah, and I do like a lot of it is they do have a bit of setup where Luthen doesn't know whether or not he's burned. They do know they need to meet up with because we opened on him and what's her name? I always forget her name.
Clea? Was it?
Clea. I knew it's spelled with K.
Clea.
Yeah.
Clea kind of reacting to some kind of alert. And at this point, they've been operating Coruscant for years and years and years. So it kind of makes sense that things would begin to like kind of hone in on them.
Pretty much. Oof.
But yeah, they go meet. Luthen goes to meet Lonnie in what looks like kind of a public park-esque area.
Yeah, I do not like. Oh my god! You everywhere. What the fuck has to be a public park?
Well, it's kind of like a public park, but it's got like all these walkways. It seems like a pretty like clear area.
Yeah. So because in that scene we were like, yeah, Lonnie is cooked.
Yeah, I was I think we all knew like there's no way Lonnie's surviving the show. There's no way Luthen can survive the show. And I remember when we were watching it, and it's like, especially with Lonnie like stressing how he needs to, Luthen needs to get him and his family out. And I'm just thinking like, is Luthen really going to try to get you and your family out? I feel like that's a lot of logistics to organize.
Yeah.
But hey, they actually try to like gaslight you. It's like, oh, I'm gonna bring you to Yavin,
which is actually the true place. But no, I feel like it's not as much him gaslighting as much as Luthen is like because if you like pay attention to Luthen's actual expression and the acting involved, I feel like Luthen is very much calculating like, okay, well, how much is Lonnie's how much information does Lonnie have specifically that I can't, inform people of myself? And it is implied kind of he got all the information he needed out of Lonnie, and then since I mentioned it earlier about the way Luthen operates, he kind of does just use up people and then burn them. Which is kind of why he can never be like a celebrated hero of the rebellion.
He's always like ends justify the means character. It was like, oh shit. Like he literally let a planet burn just to save the galaxy. Like that's his worldview.
Yeah.
Well,
And,
it's almost like there's a degree of like he's an extreme pragmatist, and there's a degree where that is going to be necessary in the rebellion, but also like once the rebellion has gotten to this stage, he becomes a lot more risky to actually have because it's kind of hard to have someone like him operating with you when you're trying to frame yourself as good guys.
But the sad part is he's completely right. Holy shit! After Gorman burned, Mon basically exposed it to the entire galaxy, and that actually sparked the entire rebellion. Rebels is a shit show, but yeah, that's what happened. And then when what's the other example? When Lonnie died, they destroyed the Death Star. He literally sacrificed himself just so that the Empire would not gain anything, and he actually secretly saved the entire rebellion.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the big thing. I feel like the moment he made his decision they have to kill Lonnie was when he started like digging with Lonnie. I think actually it's probably the moment he said Yavin. Because there's no way in hell Luthen would be telling him you're going to Yavin, because that's information that could leak and would actually just spell the end of the rebellion.
Yeah. Oh well, I just didn't. Yeah, that's a great scene. Unfortunately, I was like, oh, how the fuck do you shot someone in public and no one hear it?
well, it's not crazy. Especially with like blasters these in the Star Wars universe, like it's not really that.
Yeah, they seem to like be inconsistent on how loud a blaster shot is.
Yeah. But I also think it's because like killing him is also like I don't put too much credence on it because like this is the episode that Luthen also dies, so it's not like killing him and then he got away with it like he didn't. So there's that, but he did have enough time to talk to Clea about what was the information that was gotten. Jedha, Kyber, Ursa, Galen Ursa.
And the specific information they learned was about the Death Star being built. They don't really know exactly what it is, but they know there is a big weapons project that the Empire is working on. It is
a super weapon essentially.
And the Kyber. To be fair, it's so weird because like they are harnessing Kyber crystal energy, which is fuck thing. That is actually using. That is actually a thing in Rebels, unfortunately.
That is like it's in like a lot of Star Wars lore. Because of Kyber powering the lightsaber, but like it's also very powerful enough.
It's weird because in Rebels, Saw Gerrera and the Rebels actually know about it. Like the power source. But they don't know the weapon, but they know the power source. So it's actually quite close.
You know, I actually thought they were gonna show Galen Erso and like Mads Mikkelsen would return, but like they didn't do that.
Oh, they also do get the name Galen Erso, which is the guy who gets them the information on the guy who gets them the Death Star plans, basically.
Yeah, he's Mr. MacGuffin in Rogue One.
Yeah. I mean, it's still technically the same thing here.
Yeah.
Well, he's basically just a name here.
Let's be real here. There's no way the fuck you can justify this character without being a fucking moron.
Yeah, but I also feel like this conversation with him between Luthen and Clea, where I think that Luthen would not have just like been giving her the information, made sure she remembered it if he thought he had a chance in hell of getting out. And that's why I think he also specifically was like, yeah, this is going to be the end for me. I'm going to go make sure all I'm doing the burn.
Right. So basically they needed to essentially somebody had to go back to burn all the tapes and like the messaging center that was there, antique shop. Clea wanted to do it. She feels like she'd be faster and all this stuff, but Luthen, feeling that things are coming to an end, it's like no, I got to do that. You have to take this information and share it and all that stuff. So
By the way, because at the very she's more believable than Luthen.
for which part?
You know, for being a trustable, reliable person.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, so and this episode does like splice up like the flashbacks with Clea's backstory.
Remember,
But before we get to that, so Dedra does enter the shop. Prior to entering the shop, Luthen does pour some acid onto the the console and all that stuff. So, and they're talking about the knife and like how special it is, and then she's talking about, I have something special too. It's an Imperial Stargate unit, and
a vintage Imperial Starpath, which is the device that Andor stole at the beginning of the show.
yeah,
really, I didn't remember.
vintage, and it was like 3 years ago. So,
Yeah,
4 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't rewatched season 1, so I didn't remember which episode.
Or 1 through 3.
Oh shit!
One of the first 3 episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing that was the thing that Andor was selling to Luthen when they first met.
Oh
Yes. Yeah.
That they lost, and because Luthen didn't really care about it. Luthen was more interested in recruiting Andor.
Oh,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah. So that was another thing too. It's like she uncovered the identity of Luthen essentially off screen as well because of the year skip.
Oh, they do tell us exactly how she got that information, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the tell part over the show.
Yeah.
Part.
Well, that it's one of the this arc I think suffers the most from
the year skip.
The year time skip. Yeah, because
like we know she was looking for Axis this whole time.
Well, that information too. Actually, her digging into that information and stuff is actually what does screw her over, or it helps to screw her over in this arc at the end.
Yeah, that was I mean, and the thing is, like, the other thing is, like, she, because her personality is like, she thinks she's like above everyone, like she has all the mighty power. Zero, even though like she does not like to be controlled by people, which is being shown when she's powerless. She will be really like frustrated because like Zero overpowers her in the last arc, and she's like traumatized. And then this arc,
it's a case of she really enjoys lording power over people, but when somebody is in a place of power above her and hostile towards her, she just seems to be the type to kind of freeze up. And that's the interesting thing too. So her going and confronting Luthen directly on her own. I've heard people talk about it like it was a story flaw, and I'm like, no, this is the flaw of the character themselves. Like, this has been a consistent part of their character for like her character is.
Yeah, I think it made sense for the character to do that.
Remember, season 1, Dedra literally told Bex was like, "You gotta tell me everything, you fuck." And then she's like, she's that confident.
Yeah, well, and especially because this is the ultimate opponent that she's been like trying to track down for years, and their conversation is so great. One of my favorite lines where Luthen is like, "There's only 2 pieces in this gallery that are of questionable origins."
Yeah, no, that was really funny. Yeah, and we talked about the great line that he said as well.
Yeah, but he uses that as a segue to maneuver himself into having the knife in his hand in a natural way that she doesn't even like think about, because she hasn't like confronted him with the Starpath thing yet. And I
Yeah.
think does he put it down? I think he puts it down, but
But she
Yeah.
walks back because she hears the acid eating away at the console in the back. So, and then when she goes there, oh, like, damn, no, don't. Like, you're under arrest. The place is surrounded, and during that time, that's where Luthen stabs himself.
Yeah. By the way, if only she just have the entire guard just raid the place, nothing would have happened.
Well,
yeah,
at the same time, because like the idea is like the idea was to put a false sense of security, but like the place being surrounded and all that stuff. Otherwise, like Luthen could have tried anything with everybody there. In the room.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like, I got you, you son of a bitch. There's no escape. You're going to tell us all of your secrets. It's like her mentality. And Luthen kind of sets up the rebellion's not here anymore. And like then I think she does she just look in the back room, or does she
like she hears the like sparks coming out?
Yeah, no, she hears it. She hears it, and she's actually thought there's like a door.
And that's what gives Luthen the moment to go and grab the knife again.
Yeah. And then she's like suddenly stab herself. It's like, yeah, fuck you. I have the power over you, and I did not even need to say. And I just basically just killed myself.
Yeah.
Well, like, she immediately calls
is a test of their ideals, and her character flaw overcame her in the end, and kind of screwed her over on this. And his like being a control freak, almost like he used it effectively to actually get the last laugh here in this.
And like they do try. She like gets the medical teams like keep him on life support essentially, so that he doesn't die, because that information is not dying with him.
What do you guys think of the conversation people are having about this with whether or not he could have killed himself more effectively?
I don't
think so. Okay, here's the thing: if he's using a gun,
that would have been spotted at some point.
Yeah,
there was no natural way for him to pull a gun out and
shoot himself. Yeah,
I mean the best way.
I think she already has the stun pistol on her, so if he'd like tried to slit his throat or something, there's a chance she could have stunned him and stopped him.
Yeah, and the thing, remember, if you're like, oh, I'm gonna drink poison, it's like, do you know drinking poison is easier to save than stabbing yourself?
Yeah. Well, especially because that's a pretty big knife. And a gut wound is very. It's slow, but it is kind of a more sure thing than like people realize. Getting stabbed in the stomach, it's kind of you're fucked. Oh, well,
he's also an older man.
But why don't they just bring him to the mod shop and get him a new stomach?
Oh right, shit. My God.
That was Mando, right? That wasn't Mando.
Yeah,
Boba
Fett. It was Mando and Boba Fett, technically.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Oh, and that's on Tatooine. Imagine what technology they have for hospitals in Coruscant.
Jeez, don't remind me of that show. I was like, wow, I don't even know how to save a person like this.
Yeah, I said, you just have to treat all the Filoni slop like it doesn't. Like I don't. If you tell me that this exists in the same universe as a lot of the Filoni stuff, I just don't believe you.
Yeah. So after this happens like pretty early in the episode, so the rest of the episode really is in the perspective of Clea.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think Andor's in this episode at all.
No. Oh, he's not.
Yeah.
He's not in this episode at all. Yeah. So the perspective of Clea is that now, and again, this entire thing is like kind of like change, like not changed, but like it was added in because of like how good the actress of Clea was. All this stuff. So there's like a few flashbacks of, we talked about a little bit about like how Luthen was an Imperial soldier back in the day. He defected when his unit like killed like a lot of people on Claire's home world, and when he finds the little girl like in his like ducks, and he's hiding her from like the other Imperial soldiers. So yeah, and then you see like different flashbacks while she's on like in the present, she's on her way to the hospital to make sure that Luthen dies for real. So in those other flashbacks, you see like how they go together into like this market. They're trying to sell something, but the shop lady does not really like it, and Clea speaks up about making the deal better for what they want, and it impresses Luthens a lot. So you have things like that. You also have like where they're in Naboo, and which is funny since it's Emperor Palpatine's home planet, and he pretty much like charters up like a bomb to explode an Imperial facility there. So
Yeah, I really liked this scene. I've heard some people say that they didn't really like the flashbacks as much. I feel like the big problem is just it's another one of those we needed more time
yeah,
with Clea.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with Claire because like Claire is always like really subtly developed in the background.
Yeah,
It's like-
yeah. Well, I was fine with it. It feels like there's a lot of, and I think I'm fine with the flashbacks. I can understand why some people might feel like they weren't, and like they were kind of thrown in at the last minute.
Really,
it does
because-
feel like last minute. It's just that like because this episode is solely focused on Luthen and Claire's relationship, essentially, like as the kind of like the main thing of the story of this episode. So it does
Yeah.
make sense that like you want to kind of go, how did these two essentially be together? Which you don't have to really think about, but like
yeah,
it gives you some
I
answer there.
do. The restaurant scene alone just was really good. Well, because like it's almost like he's kind of testing her dedication, testing her willpower, and then he's the one who actually blows it up.
yeah,
And then as she's almost like freaked out that it actually just happened, he's like instructing her on how to react.
Yeah, you just like, and then there's the other one earlier, like when a bunch of people were like getting lined up to get shot at, and Clea did not want to leave, but gets Luthen to go. All right, you're on your own, and she goes to watch. She doesn't do anything, but like she watches the stormtroopers. The stormtroopers who are a lot more competent than any other Star Wars project.
oh yeah,
Essentially, so it's like yeah, they kill him, and
What you mean? They can shoot
they can
straight.
shoot, they can shoot straight.
They can make a 15-meter away shot.
That is true. I mean, it's more than what we usually see. So
oh
Yeah.
fuck, they're
Yeah.
they're no longer
If
video
it was
game
Filoni, one of
NPCs.
them would have missed.
yeah,
Yeah, hey,
he would have bumped his head on a metal door because it
Yeah.
happened in 1977.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
don't worry.
So, but then like this gets like Clea to be upset with Luthen and all. It's like that. It kind of sucks that they don't get to do anything. So the thing is like the thing about rebelling against something is like you have to lose, and you have to lose a lot. But we're fighting for a better, like a better tomorrow kind of a thing. I mean, I think this was a line that was the line in season 1 about like how like I'm trying to see a sunrise. There's going to be a sunrise for a time that I won't be able to see, kind of a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
From his monologue. So it's just kind of like keeping that from like explaining this to Clea even from how long ago they've been together and that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's like when he bombs the Imperial facility, it's like don't react. Just do what you got to do, and you got to get out. Always plan your
Well,
exit.
it's not even don't react. It's like don't react yet. Okay, turn now.
Yeah, always plan your exit. That kind of thing. Which is that comes back into the hospital scene where
Yeah, by the way, which is a good subversion because they're like, oh fuck, is she got actually gonna save him. Also, there's it's good subversion of the father daughter trope, which is like, oh, she's gonna make him nicer. No, he's gonna make him more fucked up.
Yeah.
This is how you commit acts of terrorism. Pay
Yeah.
attention.
Wow.
Yeah. And the other, yeah, and like what you were saying as well. It's like she does go up. It's like also it was kind of funny, like her keeping an eye on the ET looking alien. Especially with the episode that was pretty dark overall.
Yeah.
But yeah, what she does, she causes an explosion down in the lower hangar. So she uses that diversion to essentially get herself up to that area, which is it's already locked up with because like they want Imperial eyes on Luthen the whole time.
As you would.
As you should. But yeah, after that causing that commotion, she goes up. She eventually makes it to the room, killing a few stormtroopers that were left behind. And then when she gets to the room, she does pull his plug, having Luthen die. Obviously emotional, and gives him a kiss on the forehead before she walks out. Eventually, some of the guys come back, but this is at a point where she's already leaving the facility. But yeah, and that's
It came across as a bit easy for her to like do that. I mean, it's still more competent than the Empire usually is portrayed in Star Wars, but still, it seemed really easy for her.
Yeah, just like, oh, let's just go up there and just shoot people. That's it. That's all I need. And I mean, so first, it sounds like a video game. That's
yeah, but at the same time, you do have the factor of well, it's one of those things where
like she did explode
it's,
like at
yeah.
the hangar in a few floors below.
Yeah, and
So
this isn't like an Imperial like facility or anything. It is
it's a normal
random
hospital that the Imperial just took over. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Like Clea actually bombed a part of a hospital, just a distraction.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that. It is funny because I remember it's kind of a subversion, and usually the story beat is like, oh, they're going to save. And I remember when we were watching, it's like, yeah, she's gonna go kill Luthen because he has information they cannot let get out.
I mean, also to be fair, it's like he's on life support. There's no way you can like take him out.
Yeah, there's no way. There's no feasible way for her to.
Like, speaking of video games, it's like I guess it's like The Last of Us, but the opposite: the daughter figure killing her father figure in that aspect. Yeah. So there you go.
I always think of the Telltale games, The Walking Dead. The difference is, with when Clementine has to kill Lee, the difference is like. Mm-hmm. She actually had to like go out of her way to go and get into the building, and then that's the funny thing because you bring up the life support. And yeah, that's literally how she kills him. Is just she turns off the life support,
pulling the plug.
Yeah. Because like that's the thing. There isn't really a feasible way to get him out. Like maybe you could with like an entire like rebel team and like a planned assault. You don't have that time.
No, and yeah, and the best way was like the means justify the end, which is like
we know she wasn't there to save him. We knew she was going to kill him. It's just that somebody could think that. It's just that we knew that.
We knew that. When we were watching it was like, yeah, she's got to kill her because like we actually pay attention to the story.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much the end of episode 10.
Amazing. By the way, yeah, basically Clea and Luthen just sacrificed everything just to save the entire rebellion. And the rebellion would never know about this.
Yeah, well, which is interesting because like Clea is alive. We don't see her in Rogue One.
Yeah, her getting out is one of the more. I don't know if she'd be able to get out.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like they actually spot her before they get out, so they can absolutely run after her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but Yavin is at least like secretive enough that it could keep her safe. But then eventually Yavin gets compromised, and then they move to Hoth, which is like
Hoth
something that I know like people have made that as like, oh, I want to see a show like that's like Andor style, but like it's like the follow up of how the people on Yavin move over to Hoth. So something's between episodes 4 and
I
5. I don't know if
I
it's worth a story.
no,
yeah,
just
Yeah,
I mean, all you need to do is just fly a ship there.
yeah.
yeah. I was gonna say, I assume they. Well, no. What we need all the logistics. We need the guy who's like packing up the boxes, and then the pilot guy, and the grand finale of the show is going to be them parking the vehicle.
Just so remember, it's like I don't really think it's the big deal because Rebellion, of course, will have backup plans just in case anything happened.
Yeah, yeah. At that point, then it doesn't really matter what Clea knows because like Luke is the one who actually destroyed the Death Star. But, yeah.
Oh, like Clea would probably be like one of the most wanted people of the Empire because this is like.
But I guess at this point
if
now the
there's
Death Star
any-
is known and destroyed. But yeah,
Yeah, if there's any single intelligence asset that they would want to like high value target that they'd want to capture, it would be Clea because she is going to know a lot about Luthen's operations, which is going to give a lot of info on potential like rebel cells. Even while the rebellion is getting more organized outside of Luthen, she's gonna at least know names. She's gonna at least know vaguely who's involved in a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, because Luthen actually has a lot of pull from everyone. Like, dude, he has literally have a spy in ISB. Imagine what other spies does he have in other Imperial places.
Yeah, even though there was a lot of like tension and a lot of, I actually think they set up well the fact that everyone's kind of beginning to like distrust Luthen because you would like.
Yeah. Also, the fact that I like there's a one line in episode 10 was like, from now on, I'm called Luthen and you're called Clea. I was like, oh shit, Luthen is not even his real name.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh. So yeah. So
well, of course, would it be?
So even if they capture like Lonnie, they were like, "Oh, this guy's called Luthen." I was like, "Oh, who the fuck is that?" You cannot check his record.
Well, Luthen actually have a business, so knowing his name would have actually probably led them to him. But yeah, Clea probably is like one of the single biggest like intelligence assets. Even if most of her info is probably going to be out of date at this point, like that info can still be very useful for tracking down all sorts of things, bases, caches, supplies the rebels might have been able to secure.
I mean, also like spies in the Imperial.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah, that is the most important. It's like because we know already they still have people in positions that can be leveraged. Espionage is like a part of a modern, well, not even just a modern war. We had like major espionage going on in the first two world wars, or both of the world wars.
Yeah, and to be honest, if they want to make a show, I guess they might as well just make a show between episode 5 or 6. How they stole the second Death Star. Okay, you don't have to.
Thrawn, the thing is that before Luthen and her were the like centralized point of the spy network. It would be like they might be compartmentalized. Hell, they are. That's why Luthen doesn't share information with like anyone. But Clea is like the one person who would, because she helped him run the entire operation. She definitely has info.
Yeah.
but yeah, I can also agree that with the death of Krennic and all that stuff, and then the destruction of the Death Star, it does get to a point where it's not really as much useful anymore.
Well, I didn't say she knows everything. I said she knows a lot.
Yeah.
That is.
I mean, at the very least, there's still Imperial like spies in other bases outside of the Death Star that she could put information out of.
Which is why I like that I do actually like that the next episode, most of it essentially it is all them just like learning, them just needing to essentially evac her out.
Yeah, and then you see Krennic. He makes his way to Dedra after she was arrested.
And he was like, "What the fuck do you stole my stuff?"
Yeah,
and the buck has to stop with somebody, and guess who's the unlucky person who gets the blame?
Yeah, so it's like, you might be a rebel spy. I'm not a rebel spy. Yeah, that kind of thing.
You missed your true calling. That line was just ooh.
Yeah.
Throwing everything in. And this is also where her digging for Luthen has actually just basically has fucked her over. Because she has all this information on her systems that looks like it could have been for spying or something like that, because she's been digging through reports to find information that can lead her to Luthen. And she's been and she's been officially off the Axis case, so she has no justification for that.
Right, that's true. So, and then you got a few things going on here, especially a lot of Ben Mendelsohn was what it was told is like he basically did a lot of improv in the scene, like putting the finger on her head. It was you. It was pretty funny. And then
Yeah,
he pretty much grabs her by the face. Then we'll do just fine without you. When she was trying to give orders as to like how we can like resolve the problem, it's like
yeah,
no,
and then
it was pretty nice.
It was pretty nice, and then you immediately you'll be like, yeah, fucking Dedra is nothing for Krennic, nothing for Krennic.
Yep. Well, at the end of the day, like I said, with this level of failure, because not only did they fail to like recover Luthen and the raid basically failed, but they also learned about Lonnie and all the information he's been including the way they say it. What's the one thing that would actually make me come over here? Say it. It's Death Star.
Yeah.
And Krennic is genuinely terrifying. And the interesting thing is
the death of a ISB clerk or something like that. It's like client.
Yeah. The other interesting thing is Daedra is still kind of trying to be a part of the team. You know, she's still. I don't think she completely realizes it's over.
I mean, at the very least, she's also trying to be like, yeah, actually, I don't want to, like, okay, like, give me some, I still have use for you, please don't kill me. Or something. Or, like, please don't lock me up, so please don't kill me. And they were like, yeah, fuck you, I'm gonna lock you up.
Well, yeah. It's almost like this level of failure with, because I remember the way they explained it in the briefing was anyone who learns about this operation will hear the Emperor will hear about it from me personally.
Right. Yeah, so the investigation to find Clea is a go. It was assigned to Hurt. And Partagraz brings back the sickness line from season 1 about how she's a threat to public health concern and they need to arrest her and all that stuff. Get all the information that she has. They don't want her dead as either. They're trying to track her. She does put out a pulse code for somebody because she needs to give that information to somebody. She sends a message to Will, who is on Yavin, and Will tells Cassian about that Clea needs somebody needs help on Coruscant. They think it's Luthen.
They assume it's Luthen because you would.
Yeah, and not knowing that Luthen is dead yet. So Andor does go off with Melshi and K2SO, and for me, it's like, Melshi, who the fuck is this guy? It's like, because I forgot about
Rogue One. He's from Rogue One.
Yeah, but at that point, it's like I forgot about him, and he wasn't really in the earlier the season either.
No, No, he's in
Yeah.
he's in act 3. He's the one scene in Act 3. To be fair,
Yeah.
he's like who's
Yeah,
getting
I think he wasn't he in the prison or something.
Yeah, he's in prison
Yeah.
now. He's also the last one to depart in episode 11 of season 1. Like at the part of
Right.
Andor say goodbye to.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So he's kind of been around, and I kind of like that. That like it's almost coming being full circle with like how this operation is coming together. With you have like people from the prison arc being involved in like Yavin because obviously they would.
Yeah. So they do go out. We do learn from K2SO that they've betrayed like Yavin's like commands like a lot, like about 70 to 18 times. But they do leave immediately. While this like investigation is happening, the Empire they do like find that tracking code is happening somewhere in Coruscant, identifying essentially where Clea is to a degree.
Yeah, they identify the safe house.
Yeah. So they find the safe house as well. Cassian is going in. At this point, they do disable all comms of the area. So, so Cassian is not able to talk to K2SO when the Empire is actually going into. But yeah, I mean, and when they do eventually make it up there, Cassian is trying to. Well, he thinks he's talking to Luthen, but like when Clay opens the door, they would send you, wouldn't they? Not really happy to see Andor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the people was like, oh, why did you tell tell them everything? Was like, dude, if you tell them everything, why the fuck would Andor even need to save you?
Well, it's that's the mistake Lonnie made, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think we raised that probably in the watch party, but even I was like, yeah, I'm not sure about that. Since I missed something, I was like, no. If she tell them everything, she would be dead.
Yeah, that's literally what happened to Lonnie. He spilled the beans too early before he had like a real escape set up for him, and then Luthen's like, "Okay, thanks for the info, pal."
Yeah. So Clea does tell Andor like what was said about Jedha, Kyber, or so super weapon, something like that. But Andor, but she's accepting her own death, essentially. Like just he has to get out just to share that message. And Andor is insisting that he's not going to leave her.
Yeah, I kind of like this because it is a case of it's almost like Andor having to struggle with the last bit of Bluefin kind of in his head too. Like she kind of represents that where because Lufin's is that like deadly pragmatic person, and it's like yeah, basically she is public enemy number one right now. Like
and that little line of dialogue is like, I thought you said you were not going to come back. I thought you said I thought you said that I was lying about that. So they do touch back on that conversation as well.
Yeah, it is almost like Andor kind of has to struggle with the ideal and way of doing things of Andor, and I think it's very important because the arc for the rebels throughout is kind of becoming going from this like loosely organized guerrilla kind of operation with like all these different plates that Luthen's been spinning to an organized military force.
Yeah, and at this point, because like Andor is a lot more loose, like in terms of like trying to encourage her. Like, no, there's still more to go through. I mean, it's like they're talking about Yavin. It's like I was like, oh, what about Yavin? They would arrest me over there. It's like no, but like I mean, even then, it's like you and Luthen were a big part of a reason why that exists in the first place. Like you have to like find some appreciation of that, essentially. Because like but like she's also afraid because she is very close to Luthen, so they might not treat her well or something like that.
Yeah, it's the unfortunate consequence of Luthen is the one who had to do. Somebody had to end up doing all the dirty work to build everything, and that was Luthen. And Clea is an extension of that because she's been involved for basically the entire time.
Yeah. And then at the end of this episode, basically K2SO just pretty much goes on his own and just starts wrecking shit Imperials. So
True. I mean, I do like. I mean, there's a lot of interest. Yeah, it's like I think most of everything we can talk about is mostly just like, hey, here's a conversation between Andor and Clea. Also,
those bots, the enforcer bots are just really, really good. It kind of makes you wonder where they were during the whole like
original trilogy.
Original trilogy. Yeah, you'd think you'd want at least a couple of those around.
To be fair, I think it's fine for in the New Hope because they don't know that's an infiltration.
The whole plan in the New Hope,
having more like KX droids, like
I mean, the whole plan in A New Hope is they want them to get away because they plan to track her.
Oh yeah, true.
So they can find Yavin.
And then Empire. I guess K2 could be useful in Empire Half maybe no Empire Strikes Back. I think I don't know. I don't know when will K2 units be useful in the OT actually.
Yeah, no. If I had to guess, there could be a justification that's easy to make. Maybe they're really expensive. Maybe they require a lot of.
Cloud City, fuck Cloud City. Cloud City half. I think
Cloud City would have definitely been useful.
Yeah. I think the thing is like the KT units also like slow.
No, we saw them like chasing people during episode 8. They seem to be pretty fast.
Then I don't have any justifications.
I admit, like I said, it could be a case of maybe they're really expensive to produce. Maybe the Empire kind of wore through their supply. Maybe it's a fit type of thing that requires specific like materials or fuel or energy issues. Maybe it's just
like a set batch or something like that.
Maybe it's just a case of it would take too long to like deploy them at like Cloud City or the like.
Yeah.
That's the implication with Cassian just brings one back to like Yavin.
They can easily be made nice, yeah.
That just comes down to how droids work in Star Wars, though.
Yeah, that's true. So that leads us to our finale. Jedha, Kyber, and Erso. So K2SO is pretty much wrecking shit. He grabs like Hurt and he just carries him like a shield just so that the bullets can go into him. Yeah, but like, while they're also trying to go after Cassian, Clea and Mercy.
I'm so happy that tactic. I'm so happy that Stormtroopers actually has tactics instead of just like runs and guns blazing.
Yeah.
They were kind of operating as like an actual like strike force.
Yeah, they did have like a stun bomb, which did like get Cassian's like senses kind of like off.
Yeah. Like I said, they're operating like an actual like strike force or like an actual like military unit, and that's nice to see in Star Wars because that's usually not the case.
Yeah.
I think the thing we find in the watch party is like, oh, how the fuck did they miss a floor?
They said they got like it was one of the floors like 26, 27, 28. They weren't sure which one. So
Yeah,
I think
they
probably
made it to
just
26, so they were one off.
yeah. It's probably just a case of like, well, we know the signal is coming from
Yeah.
roughly this area.
Yeah, because like he did it from the outside, then they went inside, and then when they were in the floor, it's like, oh, it's the floor above us. So they knew it was like 26, 27, 28. They didn't know which one it was.
Yeah,
But yeah.
which that's still pretty like. That's still pretty like small area to like trace something to, especially in the short amount of time the signals are usually, or the message would have been to Yavin, which I
Yeah.
believe was what they traced.
But the other, well, okay, and this is another thing too, like when you have to think about it's like she does send the message, Andor does go immediately, and they're both like approaching her like at the same time. It's like it's that fast travel kind of thing, like how fast things are, which I guess is like, this is a universe with hyperspace and all that
Yeah,
stuff. So there's that.
yeah. It's also a case of we don't really know how long exactly it took Andor to get here.
Yeah.
When we with them, they had to like actually organize like a strike team. They had to like trace the signal, which we don't know how long that took.
Yeah.
It coming all to a head at the same time. Well, not Andor is in there for like a.
He also he knew where this was because it was the it was
yeah, he knew about this safe house, so it makes sense he'd be here
before
earlier.
the Empire.
Yeah, them both sides getting there within like 2 hours of each other. We don't know how long they were talking between Andor getting there and the Empire getting there, but let's just say like within like that sort of window, that's a bit convenient. But it I wouldn't say contrived, but it's a little bit of a convenience. But it's kind of just one of those story ones where you just kind of, I don't know, you have to shrug it off.
Yeah, so Clea does get injured from the stun blast, but they do manage to get out. They fly away back to Yavin. Everybody is upset there about Cassian and his disobedience and all that stuff. He was also coming in really hot, and he didn't give like that much of a warning as to like where he coming from, who is he, and like all this stuff. So
yeah, and to be fair, that's actually because he not only is it dealing with Luthen, which they probably wouldn't like to hear that he was going to Coruscant.
Yeah.
But also, it's also so short notice. It's like you almost don't have time to like do all the like procedures and steps because it's literally like a rescue mission, an evac mission.
Yeah, and he was saying like the reason why he didn't say anything because it was one, the rescue mission, two, the news he has been told is like really serious, and he has to let somebody know immediately, and because Clea is like gravely injured and she needs medical attention immediately, so that's why he didn't have any. He was trying to just land the ship as soon as he can. Yeah, and then they go into the hall, and they have a discussion, and basically Andor explains everything that Clea said. A lot of them are not really open to what he is saying because one, it came from Luthen. Luthen is a bad guy. Andor's like, but Luthen's the reason why all of you are here to begin with, or like he's done so many things for the rebellion that nobody will know about.
Yeah, which is basically the theme of the show.
Yeah.
Well, also, but it's also entirely. I wish we just got a bit more build up between Luthen's faction versus Bale's faction, and like more setup for the tension on Yavin. Like I do get what they're going for, especially because Luthen is more than willing to do like the kind of almost evil-ish decisions like letting Gorman burn for the greater good, and that does serve the rebellion. But it's also one of those things where he's also like, for example, lied to his own like operatives and like lie. So you can imagine that most people in the rebellion have only ever like seen him as like a kind of a necessary evil they have to deal. Like, oh shit, I have to go deal with Luthen because this information came from him. Okay, can we trust this? What does it mean? What does he actually want out of this?
Yeah.
Is there like are we being played here? Like, didn't he like Krieger? That's a good example. Like, he set up Krieger to basically get killed
Mhm.
Krieger. Jesus Christ, I didn't remember the names of
from
some characters.
season one. The that one rebellion group that was doing a raid.
Oh, season 1. Oh, that
Yeah.
group. Shit, right.
Yeah, and Luthen will just do stuff like that, and he'll just burn assets because he's playing to win.
Oh fuck! Oh right, he was like, yeah, I just want the Empire to make more restrictions so more people would rebel them.
Well, that's why he was involved with the Aldani stuff. That's why he was making sure Aldani happened.
Jesus, wow, yeah. I need that's why I need to rewatch season 1 because sometimes it's just what's red.
Well, the good news is you don't have to worry about the show being ruined at all.
Yeah, that's true. Wait, shit, red. Oh, red is gone.
Is it just internet, or did he have to leave?
I think it's just a connection problem. He's back.
Yep, there he is.
I'm having a connection problem. I kind of have to go to my headset now. All right. Well, there's a mic change.
True.
Okay.
Well, luckily we're almost wrapped up anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, but like they were talking about the scene with
Bell and
Bale. Nobody really trusts the information, all that stuff. Mon Mothma does want to hear it out because of Claire's condition, all that stuff, and she has some relationship with Luthen, and knowing how much he has done behind the scenes and all that stuff. They do ground Cassian, like he's not leaving, can't go out and do things. He does get a chance to talk to Clea before, like about it was not a heroic entrance like they were, but they're not sure how to process into information because it's a lot of information. That all this thing that we were fighting for is we're almost like at a point now like where we can find what it is that we're fighting for, essentially what we're going up against, even if it's like they don't know the full context of how the Death Star is or what it's going to do, but it is a lot of information for them to process. But they'll come around and appreciate Clea for who she is as well.
It's which is weird because I don't know, because like to be fair, if I know about Rebels, they'll actually send like C-3PO and R2D2 to infiltrate the Empire to steal information.
I don't think C-3PO would be on my list of candidates for infiltration.
Yeah, that's like episode 2 of Rebels, season 1, episode 2 of Rebels. Bell basically send them to do that.
Yeah, I think I'd wanna send somebody else. R2, okay, R2's very useful. He has all the different like gadgets and doodads, and he also can like actually hack computer systems. I understand sending R2, but C-3PO, it's like, can we send literally anybody else?
Yeah, it's let's just say Bell actually does shady stuff before in Rebels, but it's Dave Filoni. This guy doesn't care about logic.
Yeah. So Cassian does speak with Vel. Vel is also not really sure about the information that was talked about, but Cassian does like stand up for Luthen and how much he has meant and everything like that. Vel does eventually she does see Clea, who came out of the hospital in the rain and all that stuff, and gives her some comfort that it's like, despite Luthen has been kind of a dick, a lot. So it's like, but like he still meant something to Clea, and you can't really
Yeah.
take that away. So yeah,
Well, yeah, it literally is one of the case of like, even if you have like a relative who might have done like, or somebody you've worked with who may have done bad things, but you know they aren't like they aren't. Luthen isn't really an evil person. He has basically uh given up, sacrificed everything, including his own soul, to be able to defeat the Empire.
yeah. And this essentially kind of just like setting things up for Rogue One,
For Rogue
essentially. So like,
Yeah, a lot.
Saw
Basically, yeah.
Gerrera, he contacts Yavin because he wants to talk to Cassian.
Wait, yeah. It's to be fair.
This other guy wants to meet him on this planet, which is the planet that he goes to, basically,
yeah.
in the movie. And then
Yeah. Fun fact.
Partagras, yeah, go ahead.
In Rebels, like Saw Gerrera and Mon Mothma have hologram conversations before, so it's like this is not anything new.
You
But,
guys won't know where. This is another meme. It's like you guys won't know where I am. It's like it's obvious where you are, dude. Like
yeah.
he's on Jeddah, so yeah.
And to be honest, Saw Gerrera and Rebels is a fucking brain dead moron. Like, yeah, I get the idea. It's like basically he's trying to do the idea Andor did, but he's basically brain dead when it comes to method. When it comes to like
He's
how
on
he does
space.
it.
He's on space meth, to be fair.
Yeah, now we get the really good scene with Partagaz.
Yeah, Partagaz is at this point he is informed that he's going to be arrested for what happened, and he is asked like, "May I have the time to collect my thoughts?" And it's like, okay. He walks out, the other guy, and then he takes a moment to think.
He's also, when we actually open the scene, he's listening to what's his name from season one's manifesto, the Rebellion manifesto, which implies, basically this has now like spread outside of just
a few people.
Yeah, and his like response to it is like we can't contain it. It's it's gotten out. We can't stop it. This is the realization. Like the Empire is doomed. There's no stopping.
The disease has spread beyond return.
Yeah, because like one of the first lines in ISB was like it's delivered by him. It's actually incredible. Give me a second.
Yeah.
It's what's the first line by ISB? By the way, I didn't realize the ISB is actually just invented in Andor. I was keep wondering, did I hear this name before?
No. Because you hear about the Imperials, like the people that work with Vader and Palpatine and all this, and like those basically they sit at the table. And all
it's
this
always been really nebulous.
Yeah.
This is the only time I think they've ever. This it might be from one of the shows or something, or one of the EU books or something. But this was like the only like show I can think of that actually tried to like flesh out different organizations within the Empire.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get the final line. The final line you get with Partagaz of like, may I have a moment to collect my thoughts? And I feel like that guy knows.
The first line from him is like, security is an illusion. You want security, call the Navy. Launch a regiment of troopers. We are healthcare providers. We treat sickness. We identify symptoms. We locate germs whenever they arise from within or have come from the outside. The longer we wait to identify a disorder, the harder it is to treat the disease.
Yeah, and now here it is. The rebellion knows so much about something's going on with the Empire that is of mass destruction of something like that, so that disease is spread out and there's no way to stop it from continuing.
But I love when Partagaz does shoot himself. You get the shot from outside with them hearing the blaster shot. By the way, that's another case of so blaster shots are audible. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the stormtroopers almost like flinch, like they're getting ready, and the officer guy is like, no, give it a second.
Yeah, so he knew that he was going to kill himself. Yeah.
Yeah,
To be
he
honest,
definitely. He did the moment. He did the moment. Part of guys asked for that moment to collect his thoughts.
I remember. You remember Dedra's fate? Locked into a prison that they might as well.
Similar
That
to Narcana 5, yeah.
remember, if he got arrested, that's basically his fate. And you know what they say: death is better than ending up there.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's also
Yeah.
like pretty old too, so we saw what happened with the old guy back in
At
season
best,
1.
he'd
So
end up in Narcana 5. At worst, he'd probably be executed for basically failing in his duties or whatever.
yeah.
He'd probably be used as like a scapegoat to blame everything on.
Yeah, and there's like other like simple things that are just wrapping up the show. The rebel leadership realizes that the evidence that Cassian has is just too great for it to not be real. Then they do agree to let Cassian and K2SO to fight a Kafrene to meet the informant. Clea accepts her role on Yavin 4 with Will, Mon, and Vel. And then you got back on the wheat farm planet, B2 is playing with another droid, and Bix is out in the fields cradling a baby while they look wistfully towards the horizon. And that is how the show ends.
Yeah, and also Dedra, got locked into a system that she's always wanted to gain power from, and it's the
Yeah,
system that destroyed her.
Yeah.
where she starts crying.
Well, that's the other interesting thing. We know we see a lot of other stuff like after Dedra is arrested, like the guy who took over for her is like, make sure or after after Luthen gets killed, he's just like make a note that this was Inspector Miro's security detail. Make a note this was all on Dedra, basically. Like she has been just thrown into the gears of the machine.
Yeah, which is like really poetic fate for the character.
Yes, it was very poetic that she ends up in one of those prisons.
Yeah, the system that she supports is a system that destroys her.
And it's all because of the action she took to advance herself in it.
Yeah.
True. And yeah,
So
Andor.
And then I believe the only other thing is we get the scene of Bix with the baby.
yeah.
And it seems like it's on the wheat planet from
Yes,
the
it
first.
is. So and Tony Gilroy talked about the importance of that being the ending. It's like, is there one way of giving some hope in what was a pretty much dark show in general?
It's the sunrise that Andor will never get to see.
The sunrise and then it's like it's framed in a similar way of like how Andor's death is when he's hugging Jin and like the explosion happens behind them. So yeah, you see that parallels as well. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, we did talk about this a lot in the review as well. I do feel like this could have benefited with 3 seasons if they did not want to do 5.
And yeah, there's I think a
honestly,
lot of
like,
idea. Yeah,
but like
I think you split up the Gorman Massacre is like the first season of this, and then you do the Fall of Luthen, basically.
yeah, and also
Yeah.
remove the basically useless arc 1. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Again, it's just going back to that mini series style because everything is split up 1 year, 1 year, 1 year like that. It feels like a mini series essentially. Like every arc is contained, but it doesn't really go too much into the next arc. Especially, but arc 1 does suffer the worst for that. Yeah, I mean, like the whole thing with the rebels, like the only thing that was relevant with that rebels in the first arc is that they were actually on Yavin.
Well, it's so irrelevant. They do it again in the second arc, and they do it good.
Yes. It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I do think like if they were to end it somewhere like with, because honestly, like I did feel like with arc 2 and arc 3 felt more like the second season, because like again, Bix is like thinking about the torture from season 1. It had nothing to do with the grapes in the first arc. So it's like honestly, you could have started with act 2 as like the
Yeah.
start of the season. And then I do think the Gorman stuff is pretty much essentially the felt like what should be what
It's
the
the
season
peak.
would end to the peak of the season essentially.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it also has a nice ending in the sense of like with like Bix saying like, yeah, I'm not gonna let you not do the rebellion anymore because it's important for you to keep
Yeah.
going. Like that feels like an ending to for season 2, and then season 3 has everything to do with Luthen, the downfall of Luthen, and but the rise of the rebellion, along with the relationship with Clea and like Mon Mothma and her relationship with everything, like the
Yeah.
aftermath of honestly, like even the Mon Mothma, I like that episode a lot with her speech and like her leaving, but I do think that could go into season 3
Yeah,
if they were to split it that
Yeah,
way.
it probably could. It probably would be. It's one of those things. Like I said, it can, especially because a lot of the Cassie and Luffy and stuff before that, it could tie into, because I feel like season 3 it is like the downfall of Luthen and then like the downfall of Daedra and Partagaz, like mirroring each other. I think you could do more with the rebels becoming more organized and as a thing. You could characterize some of them the more, maybe even the guy who goes with Andor.
yeah. The whale guy. Yeah, the whale. What the fuck? We were so lucky that he. We were so lucky.
Which is kind of crazy, guys. Will Bix did get his dad killed. Like he like she is the reason why his dad is dead, and that never really gets brought up.
Yeah, kind of, but
Yeah,
it's one of those things where
but they hang out for like a whole
can
year,
you
and then
really can
season 2.
you really blame her though, especially with like how horrific that torture is and
Yeah, but prior
everything
to
else.
that though, it's like the because like she was at the tower for too like long enough because she was calling for Andor to a point that it was alerting the Empire, who was already taking a listen to what was being transported outside, especially with Luthen and all this stuff. And Clea made it a big point, like, don't talk to that girl from Ferrex, otherwise something bad is going to happen. And then that gets him to stop, even though he wanted to, like, talk to her. But yeah, but that long conversation was enough for the Empire to go after
Yeah.
Ferrex and then catch that guy, catch his dad essentially, and then get to Bix and all this. That was like it's just something that I think about. It's like when you're going to season 2, it's like, yeah, they're a family now. It's like, okay, it's fine, but
Uh,
it does
yeah.
skip a bit for that kind of thing. But
True. Season. Yeah, those 3 episodes are fucking. I mean, aside from the okay, the Mon Mothma and the Daedra and Zero stuff, the big and like Andor stuff, you can literally just cut out. But
yeah,
some
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, the Empire stuff was more interesting. And plus, the whole season was kind of leading. Like the whole season felt like it was building the Gorman stuff anyway, because like they were
Yeah.
talking about the material we need to get from Gorman. We need to do this thing. There's like licensing. We need to
They
kind of think about PR because like there might be some issues coming on here. And then
yeah.
having it, this whole thing felt like the Gorman arc should have been the entire season, and then the next season would be the downfall of Luthen, but the rise of the rebellion
I
kind of
mean,
thing.
even
It's
if
kind, it's
we
kind of unfortunate. It feels pretty simple, but you know, to
yeah,
split it into 3 seasons. But yeah.
it's weird. Even the 12th episode, I argue that if you just remove the first act and just have the second and third act be the first and second, and then the next two you can just deal with the downfall of Luthen.
I mean,
Or you can,
the main thing that really happens is Brasso dying from Arc 1.
Yeah,
mean,
it does feel like I think that it feels like the first arc spins its wheels a lot, and I feel like there was definitely a lot that they kind of were trying to work in that. I don't know. The plot line in the first arc is pointless. There's not really that much in the end to the stuff with Bix and them on the farm planet. I guess other than maybe establishing kind of the farm planet, like I don't disagree with the rape scene being in it, but I do feel like it should have been more impactful than it ended up actually being. If you're
The only thing though is like it does feel like overblown because like she was tortured in the last season. Like I just feel like putting like rape on top of that too is like that's
I
well,
mean,
not even that,
it
right?
is like
So
it literally is like torture porn at some point. But
I don't know if I would say that, but
not literally, but
my
like,
problem is just it doesn't really ever come up again at all.
it doesn't come up at all.
I mean, I literally know that it's not gonna come up because I was like, yeah, this is not gonna come up because Disney will never allow you to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's. I mean, to be honest,
But torturing is fine though. By the way, so
yeah,
there you go.
I'm gonna be honest. If Tony Gilroy was like, "Oh, I want to depict rape," I was like, "Cool. Do you know where do you want to? You can do that in season 1." Have that just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have people do that to you." If you want to depict that, that would be a lot more. That would be okay.
No, I like I said, I think the way they did it was fine. Like I said, the problem is there's no consequences, no real consequences to it, other than consequences we already had. Like
because like as we said, like the second arc starts with her dreaming about like the torture that happened in season 1. So it's like it really had nothing to do with what happened in arc 1 of the actual season that they started with. So it's like.
And also, I feel like there's a several.
And plus, you have the year skip time as well. So like, there's that.
I mean, and it's so weird because I think there's like things that you'll be like, oh, you can just reshuffle. But there's like the first scene was like with Ben Mandos. I was like, yeah, this is Gorman. I was like, I feel like this scene could just be shoved in season like arc 2 if anywhere. They could just have like Dedra have a meeting with with Zero, or he can Dedra talk to Ben Mendelsohn in like a different scene.
I guess the only thing you can really argue is that in the first arc they said that this is going to take a few months for us to get this like approved, like with Gorman and all that stuff. The thing is, I guess you don't have to make it that way. Like you can say, yeah, it'll take a few weeks,
or
you months.
Or you can just like have jump into act 2. It's like, dude, this thing took us months to get approved.
Yeah, or it's like because it is a year later, from season 1 to season 2.
Yeah, it's like you can tell that a lot of wasted time is in act 1. That is a lot of problems.
But yeah, so I mean, now we can just kind of talk about the aftermath of Star Wars now.
Now I'm glad I got it. We're not going to get anything like it for a long time. Unfortunately, I don't think this show is going to do
Star Wars
well.
has ended, so.
Oh, don't worry. Dave Filoni will never allow Tony Gilroy to work with him.
Oh, do they not like each other? Is that like confirmed?
Dave Filoni. No, it's because Dave Filoni will.
Each other, but yeah.
They know each other. The thing is, Dave Filoni would just want to control Star Wars himself.
I don't know. I'm always skeptical about anyone talking about any
John
like
Favreau, but yeah.
My God, do you know how the fuck that people? Do you know that Dave Filoni
what's
has
next?
always
You know what the next project is? The Mandalorian Grogu. So.
Yeah, you remember this
boy.
That's why I was like, Dave Filoni will never allow Tony Gilroy to make more shows.
I mean,
I don't know. Like
Tony also said he's not that interested in making.
Yeah, Tony said he's going off to do other stuff, which I hope. having watched Andor, I am actually very curious. If he does another show, I would be very curious, like in what he does, especially if he does something like a spy show or something like that.
Which is interesting. He's done the Bourne movies.
The Bourne movies, yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
Oh, is he the guy behind Bourne? Okay, that makes sense.
I
That
He did a new
explains a
Bourne
lot.
Supremacy, Bourne Ultimatum. Yeah.
I need to watch those. I haven't seen them for a while. Maybe they're good, maybe they're bad.
I remember reading the books, but it's been a long time.
Yeah.
He was a part of the rewrites for Godzilla 2014, but again,
Jesus Christ.
just to be clear, it's just the rewrites, not
Yeah,
the overall story. But yeah.
Wait, what do you rewrite? Do you? I want to know what is the rewrite? Because it's the rewrite that by the way, Bryan Cranston did not die that early.
Yeah.
Oh, if that's a rewrite, I'm gonna be so pissed off.
Oh, Bryan Cranston's character. Yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah. Either way, I am very interested in what Tony Gilroy will do. I don't know if I buy any like Lucasfilm Civil War rumors. I'd need to see more. Like you can if you go look at the DC stuff. There's a lot more evidence because I didn't James Gunn shit talk the Penguin or something directly publicly. Like I can believe there's hatred there or dislike there.
I don't think so. I don't think James can actually say anything about the Penguin.
I heard that he did. Maybe I'm wrong though.
I need to see it.
I think it's probably Sentinel or like kind of like fake news. But he has been quiet about it, like despite it doing well.
I have no idea what.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really follow Hollywood news very well, but either way, I'm always skeptical about that because I've seen just too many people like jerk around with the oh my god, Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni are going to war. Kathleen Kennedy's gonna be fired any day now, guys.
Hey, hot take. I'd rather have Kathleen Kennedy than Dave Filoni. They're both horrible, by the way. Don't get me wrong.
At least Kennedy is horrible in like an interesting way.
Oh, at the very least, Kathleen Kennedy was like, "Yeah, I hire you. Just do whatever the fuck you want. I won't microcontrol you like I'm Dave Filoni."
Yeah. Well, at least we got one good project out of her.
Yeah. Asking Dave Filoni to do anything, he would be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna microcontrol everything myself."
Yeah, Filoni is like, "Oh, how about we put Ahsoka in it?"
All right, well, that was our discussion on Andor and the season. We did talk about Rogue One here and there as well. Star Wars is back, but then it'll go away again.
This was the last ride of Star Wars.
Yeah,
let's hope in 10 years it'll be good again.
Next is the Mandalorian and Grogu.
Jesus
I'll be excited for that. So
I'm gonna die just by watching that. By the way, should we just rank on the Star Wars? Should we just rank on the Star Wars show now again?
No, I don't want to do that.
Andor, first place. That's all you need to know.
Everything else. But yeah, thanks again, Rangi, for joining the pod. It's great to have you.
No problem. I was off today, so I had time to like rewatch a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's starting to get a little bit more busy for me in my off time, in my IRL time. So there might be some spotty attendances here and there, but we'll try to make do what we can. But yeah, it was great having you, Rangi. Unity. It's always good to do the podcast with you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here anytime. The problem is your usual broadcast day is my D&D game. So
yeah. I also know because Unity has college as well, so like he also has some busy things to do as well before graduating.
Yeah, sometimes Wednesday was like, I can't do that.
Yeah. But yeah, this was ARC episode 74. Subscribe to Rangi. His link is in the description down below. Subscribe to our channels as well, along with another Reviews Corp podcast where we archive these videos. And we will see you next time. Goodbye,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
Everyone have a good